into it. All right. And it's begun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Leo's Lounge. You have the same host. It is I, Leo Sukiyo, and we have the same co-hosts. It is Swarmso and Real Blue. All right. So we're going to get into the matches that happened in Week 8. I'm calling it Week 8 because there was the bye week. I'm counting that as Week 7. Don't care what anybody else does, just so we're all on the same page. So let's do our Week 8 in review. We're going to start and kick it off with Xbox EU because I think they had one of the more interesting showdowns. I liked the Radiant versus Bustdown match. How do we feel about this one? So you want to kick it up?
Blue can talk about this one for a bit because it was a weird one for me. So
okay.
So of course the standout star in this was Bustdown because they won the set overall. But for the side of Radiant, I know Leo before we started this, and you noted it in your notes too. For Sheik looked good, right?
Yeah. You wanted me to break that into? All right. So Sheik stood out to me for a few reasons, right? I want to get this out of the way, though. Sheik played Leon twice, Victor once. Radiant obviously lost the 3 games. But each game, Sheik was top damage. Now, these champions obviously pump out damage. That's great and all. But to be able to consistently do that while you're on the losing side, I feel like the unique pressures on the map would make it hard to consistently do that across the set. Sheik's positioning also was really good across the set, in my opinion, especially on the Jag Falls game. They opened up the first point. They were able to cap that first point off of the back of a double kill that Sheik found with a little assistance from some of his teammates. I actually had 2 standout players for this set, but I cover Sheik for now, and then I'll get into Whitey a little bit later. So with Sheik aside, though, Blue, you can go back into the set. What did you think about it?
Sheik looked good for Radiant. But I'll tell you this, a large factor that goes into Sheik looking good is that they didn't have Scarcity or Potent, if you remember him from the Radiant squad last season in 2018. That roster had Wildcard, Kings, and Potent. Potent was on DPS alongside Kings at the time. And Potent was #1 in damage overall in the season. Potent is a very good player. I think the problem with Potent is that he's been playing a lot of flex champs like Grok as a damage so far this season. It's not really working out for them. They've had some problems with their roster. They had Whitey, and they were unable to secure him after he left or they dropped him, whatever it was. They couldn't get him back before Bustdown scooped him up. But Sheik did look good. I think it was, Sheik's a good player. He's been around in the scene for a while. It's his first time playing in the PCL, so he's technically considered a rookie, according to me and Console Corner.
All right.
And it's just because, orgs and sponsors, they don't really care about PCS. That's way back in the past.
Right.
Now that you look at it, PCL is the more prominent league. It's a league. It's a structured league, so it has more dominance over everything else.
Absolutely. So, I think PCS just in general kind of serves for us to be able to compare players past to their present. Obviously, we judge the metrics in the PCL as its current phase. Technically, if somebody first enters it, they are a rookie. I agree with you there. But just for frame of reference, PCS is good for us, but like you said, orgs don't really care about it. And so
some may do. Who knows? Sheik looks really good, and I think it was because Potent wasn't there. Now, I went back and I checked to make sure that I was correct.
All right.
Because, I do keep all the historical events in my head, but sometimes it gets a little jumbled.
Potent a lot to remember.
Yeah, exactly. Potent played in the PCL last season and he played this season. And he has never missed a single set, let alone a game. So him not playing this week, I don't know if it was because he had stuff to do in IRL or because he just didn't feel like playing. Maybe he didn't wake up. I don't know what happened. It's the first time he didn't play, and I think that really allowed Sheik to show off exactly what kind of player he is. His positioning was good, I'll give you that. He played Leon, he played Victor. So top damage. It's not as impressive as it sounds at first, but still, it's impressive. Those are decent champs. And he played them well. So Sheik did look good. But I think it was in large part to Scarcity not being there.
Yeah, I think one big thing to take away from the whole damage thing and the damage done stuff is that you're looking at who he was out damaging even on his team, but on Jag Falls they had the Grok and the Leon, right? Leon was outputting more damage than the Grok, and the Grok wasn't even just going against like counters like shields and stuff. Grok was going against Anara. So typically Grok is the one that like does all that damage and like keeps outputting all that like damage. But I mean, Sheik was just keeping up with it the entire time, and he was doing amazing while doing it. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's not just like his damage numbers, but it was also him basically putting his team on his back and just pushing them onward, even though like things just weren't going that way for the most part.
I'm with you on that, actually. There were a few things that I wanted to highlight from that set because I feel like Radiant overall, their performance was better than sets past versus Bustdown. They had 2 matches, I believe, that went like 4-2, and I think it was Jag and Stone. The only exception was the last map, where I think they tried to run the Kinessa, which, by the way, I want to say, as much as, because the casters mentioned it, and they were a little, not confused, but like curious about the pick, right? That they noted that in the hands of a better team, that it might be a very dominating pick. But I have to applaud their courage to whip out that Kinessa on the Frog Isle, right? Because I don't know, it just left a good impression. They didn't obviously execute it to any level that resulted in a game win or anything, but to feel confident. It was
also played by Fluxy. Fluxy is the support player for Radiant. He was dropped for Tapsy. Now he's back. Fluxy hasn't played Kinessa in the PCL setting since I think week 1 of the 2018 season.
Damn.
When he played for Team Viral, and he was a sub, and he also played Grover that set. And now he played Kinessa on Serpent Beach. So I mean, yeah, he could play Kinessa, but he hasn't done it in that setting in a while. I think if they had Potent would have been playing the Kinessa, which he has done this season for them already. I think Bustdown looked really good too. They had Stiles, who subbed for Ariavan. Now, Stiles, I don't think will be returning with Bustdown. I think he's gonna keep playing for Ancients Gaming in the XCL. I think Stiles was a last second decision. I saw in the Discord that morning that they were like, "Hey, we need to use this sub Stiles," and they allowed it because Ariavan reports are that he didn't wake up.
The classic not waking up.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this: this is the second time he's done. Did in the qualifiers when he was on Press Y in 2018, and that ended up costing them a good seeding, and they didn't make the PCL overall because of that and some other factors as well. But ItsWhitey also looked really good, especially on the played Ashe. And I've said it in the past, man. ItsWhitey is one of the best tanks in Xbox EU. He's probably a top 15, top 20 across all of the league entirely. And you know, nobody listens to me until it's too late. So.
Actually, I have to second that, to be honest with you, because Whitey for me was, I would say if I had to pick one player from that set that stood out to me the most, Whitey was definitely the player. And the Ashe is definitely a signature pick for him because his performance is a demonstrated example of what I like to call calculated aggression. He knows how far he can go. Yes. He knows how far he can go, how deep he can go on these champions, and what he can get away with. And that's something you don't normally see frontlines understanding the full capacity. They don't know where that limit is. And he pushes that limit, and it seems like he just knows right where the cutoff point is. Because he'll shoulder bash in, he'll get a 2-man ulti in the background. He just played his life so well. His whole team was slaughtered during one of the point fights on Stone Keep. And he kept himself alive for, I think, upwards like 10 or 15 seconds on the point. Balance, like dancing in between the Ashe shield and like playing with his massive health pool. And to me, it's impressive that he knows what he can get away with. And his team will back him up when they're alive and able to do that, right?
That's because he's a good off tank. I told you guys this last week. One of the hardest role to play in this game, tank, and the hardest of the 2 tanks is the off tank.
Yeah.
Because you have to essentially be a frontline with a DPS mindset. Or you have to be a DPS with a frontline mindset, right?
Yeah. It looks like Whitey's got it understood.
So him playing off tank is really good for the team because in their normal lineup they have Yui to play the main tank role, and Yui's a good main tank. He's transitioned into that beautifully. And then so this week Ariavan didn't play, so they needed a DPS player. Their sub, who was Stiles, is essentially a main tank, so they slide him into the main tank role, which means Yui had to play the DPS role over Whitey. And to me that's funny because Yui himself was nervous to play DPS, man. But I think I don't know. I had Whitey as my standout player, but I knew one of you guys would probably choose him. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll pick Stiles because Stiles had some really good games.
Yeah.
Stiles' immortal ultimates are just, dude,
they're just something.
Can we please
listen?
Go ahead.
This is nothing new, man. Go back and watch the HR when he was on Elevate in 2018 January. He's smacking immortals like that all day, bro. That guy is
his character, man.
He's a good Fernando. He can play some other tanks as well. He can play main tank really well. The thing with Stiles is, he may be a little rusty. He's been working on it. He's been getting back into the groove. He's playing for Ancients Gaming in the XCL. He's developing himself back to what he was, and he looked really good on Monday with Bustdown. But
all right, go ahead.
My breakout player for this set was Yui, man, because Yui's playing DPS. And Yui held his own on DPS in a PCL setting against some people that have some skill on Radiant, especially Sheik, who's smacking him with Victor and Leon. And Yui, he plays DPS maybe in ranked and casuals and in tens for fun and stuff, but he doesn't necessarily. He never has to play it in PCL, right?
Yeah, that's
he
fair.
held his own. And he's on Mixer getting triple kills. And I hit up the guy. I hit up the guy who runs the Paladins Pro channel. I'm like, yo, dude, you need to put this on the Twitter because Yui is smacking heads right now. So yeah, that's my standout player for this.
Yeah,
there's 3 of them, but whatever.
All right.
Right.
I mean, what do you want to say about Fernando?
About no.
Stiles?
Me, I was gonna actually mention that one moment he had on Anar that the casters were going crazy about because it stood out to me too. He was playing Anar. On the Stone Keep game, if I'm not mistaken. He was at 200 health for like 10 or more seconds, and he wasn't going down. Like, he played his life and managed his cooldown so well that he just did not go down, and they were able to hold that defense, dude.
Stiles knows how to communicate with his healer, and how to. That Stone Keep game, by the way, he stayed alive that long, managing his cooldowns, line of sighting damage, listening to callouts, giving callouts, and noticing when he's getting healed and not, because the thing is that they had a Grover on their team, right? Dreams was playing Grover. Yeah, she ran Ferocity that game.
Ferocity, yeah.
Yeah, so she's not running Rampant Blooming. So
yeah, she's not running F-Load.
You got to be extra cautious trying to survive with that.
Man.
But that Immortal on Frog Isle was that was full team Immortal.
Yeah, and it saved both his healer and his off tank from Victor, which is insane.
Absolutely,
so it was a very good. He's getting back into the groove of his Nando and as well as his other main tanks. So it's showing that he's really trying to like come back and grind, and it's good for Ancients Gaming because they're, like we talked about last week, they're getting like this more experienced player who's trying to get still into the game, winning the meta and stuff. And now he seems to be growing as a player as well, coming and subbing for PCL and doing amazing while doing it. And like you guys said about Whitey, just his ability to survive, know when to go in, when to go not to go in, has just been insane throughout the set. So, I mean, that's pretty much why Bustdown won. I mean, they just played so well. Their tanks were doing it all. It was insane.
Stiles just needs to stop putting regular gas in my Lambo.
Honestly, though, seeing him perform made me excited to see what Ancients Gaming is capable of once the relegation comes around.
Yeah, we've been talking about him. Yeah. And he's like,
oh, it's like here he is.
Yeah, now he's like, oh, he's going to play in the XCL. And this is good for him. He can get back in the groove, and all of a sudden, bam!
Right.
There he is.
Comes back in with a force.
Honestly, speaking of forces, though, Cyclone.
He's not staying.
Speaking of forces, though, Cyclone is another force, and honestly, their opponent was Team Viral this time around. So, business as usual. I felt like that set went. The 2 things that I would actually just highlight. One is I think Team Viral showed at least a little bit of backbone, specifically on Bright Marsh. They only got 1 point on that map. But their
successful defense.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. But that's what I wanted to mention because it felt like they were able to hold that defense properly. You're up against a team of the caliber of Cyclone, so onus would be on them to be able to push. It shouldn't be difficult for them to do that. So for them to have buckle down, whatever had gone on behind the scenes, obviously we don't know how they communicated. We don't know how they structured what they wanted to do on that defense.
Right.
So whatever was happening behind the scenes there, I really want to credit that. Because even though you didn't take a map off of Cyclone, you're the last place team versus the first place team in your division. And no one expects you to take the map off of them. But to have that much coordination to even manage that defense was pretty impressive to me. And the other thing that I thought was very interesting is just, I want to say Welsh is an absolute unit. Granted, again, the caveat here is they went up against Team Viral. This isn't news to anyone that Welsh is a unit, but Viral is the weaker team. That's what I was going to say and allude to it, that his achievements in the series led him to get that accolade, right? And it's the PCLC that determines these players of the week, correct?
Yeah, the PCLC. So that's, some people still don't believe me, whatever. So the awards and the player of the week, I actually have no say, no influence, no nothing over it because we want to remain as unbiased as we can. But they're all anonymous. And last season I had them in the Discord, the Conscore and Discord. People could see who they were and stuff. And that kind of caused some problems. Because people would message them and stuff like that. So now I have a secret Discord that only they are in. And my mother... Someone dying?
You guys can hear that?
A siren. It's all good.
And my mother typed up some NDAs. They all signed it and that. So they're the ones who deal with all of that. And they watch all the games. And when they watch the games, they tell me, hey, they watch all the games, and then I send them the stat sheets so that they can, because you can't see the stats in the game.
Right.
So they watch the games. I think a couple of them watch it a couple times too, from different perspectives. They just watch the whole game through one player.
That's really good, actually. That gives them pretty in-depth knowledge of what happened and who did what throughout the entire course of the game. That's marvelous. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah, I think some of them, what they do is they watch the. I don't want to talk about this for too long. They watch the game and they'll see this guy and this guy are standing out, so they'll rewatch the game through their perspective the whole time.
I see.
Then they look at the stat sheets and stuff, and then they try to determine who's player of the week and stuff. So a lot of people are always like, "Oh, it's whoever." Blah blah blah. Well, Storm Avatar got player of the week this week, and he got 3 kills in 3 games.
Right.
But he only died once, and he had 52 assists and a bunch of healing for 8-minute games. So. They decide who player of the week is. They know the deadline of when they need to tell me when player of the week is. I have those graphics are all templated. They're all templates. So all I do is just plug in the name and the stats.
Right.
The stuff that they give you.
Yeah. I mean, I have the stats. They just need to tell me the name. And then I just plug it all in. And then with the awards, they have a spreadsheet. They just fill it out in order of their top 5. And I just import those into the website each week. I actually can see their lists, and it's like each award they have 15 names ranked for each award. So except for coach, because not every team has a coach. But you can look at the MVP list, and you see on the website it's Prosper, Slopadopoulos, Emit Payne, Jeff the Raccoon, and then Kings. Right now, I think that's the order it goes in. That's the 5 you see on the website. There's 10 more on their list.
Right.
So the best one to look at is the most improved player, right? OG Comedy's number 5. Last week he was 1 or 2. And the week before that he was 1 for the longest time, right? He's gone. He's not playing anymore. So obviously he's dropping.
Yeah.
And other people are going up.
Yeah, but his play was still good enough to keep him in the top 5 apparently. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever metrics that they managed to use.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to awards like that, they base it off play. They base it off of stats, but mostly play. So they watch the plays and stuff like that. But they incorporate stats into it as well. And the thing with that is, a lot of people was like, "Oh, blah blah blah, whatever." They have created their own system. Last year they did the thing. They've created their own system, and they kind of share it with the next season's PCLC. What they do is I think with kills and stuff. I mean, with DPS, obviously, kills are important. Assists are important as well, but not as important as assists for supports. Healing is important for them, but not as much as shielding would be to front lines or objective time, and assists for front lines as well. So it's they have this whole they have this whole system of what is more important for each role and what should be judged, what shouldn't be judged, and stuff like that. It took them a month to create that system. So
all right,
I just provide them with the stats, and they do their thing, and they watch the games and whatever. So
that's good.
Welsh Mania's player of the week. And yeah, I know we kind of went off topic there.
No, it's fine. I think the clarification on it is pretty good, because there are a lot of people who I think at least don't fully understand the PCLC, how they operate. So I think that clarification is really good. It gives people insight on what they do, how they do it, and the intricacy of basically their analysis. So I think that was good. But we could circle it back because, like you were saying, with PCLC they made Welshmania Player of the Week in the Cyclone and Viral set. Yeah,
since real quick, since we talked about that, they have created a so at the end of the season the awards go out, MVP and Rookie of the Year and stuff like that. They have created by the way, Most Improved Player of the Year is a brand new award because it's now the second season of PCL. So you had to have played in PCL season 1 in order to be considered for this.
Okay.
In order to be considered a Rookie of the Year, you have to have not played in last season's PCL at
Understood.
all, even one game, right?
Okay.
So there's also they created. You ever watch like baseball, MLB?
Yeah. Been a while, but I have.
Okay, so like the Gold Glove Award.
Yes.
Okay, so basically they're doing that with roles.
Oh, okay.
So the gold damage role, the gold support role, the gold frontline. Okay.
All right.
So what they're gonna do is they've already created that is purely stats based though. So if you get I think it's crazy numbers over the course of the 26-week season, 24 weeks of play. If you have 18 million damage, you get the golden damage, or you have to have a 5+ KDA with 18 million damage to get the golden damage roll or something. I don't know. It's
so Emmett Payne, yes.
Insane.
Yeah, it's insane, bro. These numbers they created are insane. And I was like, how'd you get these? And I guess they took all the players in the league,
right?
Took the average of that and did it. Since it's 5-game sets, not every one of them is going to go 5 games, so they did 2.5 games, so that, or 2.5 games,
right,
worth of average of each stat, and then times it by 24, and then added another week to make it difficult.
Gotcha.
All right.
So hard awards. Got it.
Yeah, but circling back.
Right. Okay.
So before we close out on,
you guys know.
No, that's good. Before we close off on Cyclone and Team Viral, Swarmso, if you had anything to say about the set before we move on to Xbox NA.
I mean, it was a very dominant set through Cyclone, as we said already. I mean, Cyclone's already been this great team. They lost. I don't know. Did they play with Harvey this set? I can't remember. I don't.
No, that's the thing I was going to talk about. They brought in, or they didn't bring in.
Yeah, they just used the Netics, correct?
Yeah, they promoted him to main roster because of Harvey's leave, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Harvey will be back though. Harvey told me, full disclosure, he told me it depends on what happens in this meeting players are having with Cooper and stuff.
Right.
He's pretty upset about
He's on the fence still. He's if nothing changes, he's out. But if something happens, he might reel him back in and start playing again.
The biggest problem for Harvey is that he doesn't have a PC. And everyone else on his team does, even Fanatics, and they want to practice on PC.
On PC because
he could still practice with them with crossplay through Xbox, but he can't practice with mouse and keyboard. And I told him, I said, if you just get a keyboard and a mouse, you could still plug it into your Xbox. They're compatible, and it's not the same. The frame rates suck, and it's kind of drop laggy on there. But I mean, I was just offering short-term solutions,
right?
But, so Fanatics comes in as a front line, which means Welshmania back to DPS, and Kings is healing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a weird flex, but I mean,
So if Viral's gonna beat them, now would have been the time. I think Radiant could take a couple points off of them. I don't think they could take a map off of them. I think Bustdown could take more than one map this time. But for them versus Viral, I think Team Viral was able to secure 1 point off the defense. The thing with Team Viral is they have told me too. At this point, they're pretty much just playing for fun. They haven't won a single map all season. They're 0-21. They've gotten 3-0 every set. They're just pretty much playing for fun, and they're still learning at the same time.
Yeah, they're trying to learn for relegations, so when that comes around,
But I'm gonna be honest. I have the utmost because they've had a 7-man roster.
Wait, can you repeat what you just said? The mic did cut out.
Yeah.
For a moment.
1 second. So they have a 7-man roster. I have the respect for them because they don't quit the game. People BM them on Twitter all day.
Right.
They've had to pretty much block half of the EU scene. at this
Right.
point. And I just feel like, you know, people should cut them some slack because unlike other teams in their position, they're not giving
Disbanding, grabbing
not-
like every other player in the universe.
They're not crying about it. They're not whining.
Yeah.
They're not complaining. You know, they show up every week and they still play. I think
Right.
their
Yeah.
biggest problems are, you know, they have no one who wants to help them. And they've told me they watch my videos, they watch my content, they watch me stream, whatever. And they ask me questions and they try to learn from that. And they have learned a lot from that, they said. And I'm glad I was able to help them. But they haven't given up. I think their biggest
Right.
problem is that no one wants to help them. And also their drafts are pretty, they're not good.
Right.
You know, they triple DPS'd with a Ceres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we know that's bad, but they necessarily might not know.
Right.
But the Genos was also grabbed by the other team, so who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have respect for them, man. They show up every week and they play. So
But I mean, back to what we were talking about earlier. I just think Cyclone, they have like their whole like roster swap thing. I think it's weird because like now you have like your DPS player move to a support role. You have your
you know,
putting in
Welsh
Fanatics
used
as
to.
an off tank.
You know, Welsh used to play support for Gangstars during Valencia, right?
Yeah, so I was kind of confused on that as to why he didn't play. I am in the dark. I'm sorry.
Sorry. That's
I'll fix it in a second. But for the most part, it's weird that to see. I mean, I understand why he's going to DPS. He wants to play DPS. He's been playing the off tank, so now he's moving to that off DPS role, right? If I'm correct. So like, it's kind of makes sense as to what he's doing. I just don't know if it's necessarily the best for his team. But I mean, that's their decision. At the end of the day, it's what they do, and I think they're still going to be pretty dominant. And I mean, I'm glad that they're using their time to practice against PC teams as well to get ready for this next LAN coming up.
Yeah, because until anything changes, if anything changes, then this is set in stone right now. So, yeah, take your time.
Yo, Slop's pretty good on M&K, baby.
Slops? I haven't seen any. Who was it that used to be PC? Smutney, correct?
Yeah, Smutney used to be PC, yeah.
Okay. All right. I was just trying to make sure.
He was PC, then he was PS4, then he was PC, then he was Xbox.
So he did the grand tour of all the platforms, basically. So.
Nah, he's got to play Switch, dude.
Oh.
By the way, Nintendo Switch is getting voice chat.
I saw
Yes,
that
sir.
update. That's gonna be interesting.
Meki really pushed for that. That's like a 4 meeting.
That's good.
I feel like it's a
4
standard.
meeting push. That's a 4 meeting push for Meki. A lot of games, 90% of games on Switch don't have voice chat.
That's kind of absurd for them.
Multiplayer games at that.
Well, I'm glad that I'm glad he didn't forfeit on his goals to get a voice chat to Switch, because you know who did forfeit over an Xbox NA? Retaliation against Elevate.
Yeah,
Retaliation was just a no-show. Do you have any intel on that, by the way? Was there a particular reason why they didn't show up?
Yeah,
I'm unaware.
I saw in the Discord channel what happened. So I forgot the exact message
All
that
right.
he got on his Xbox.
Right.
But if we go all the way back to when Retaliation dropped players except for Island Shots, right?
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Week 1, they forfeited against Elevate as well. And it was
I
because,
see.
from what I hear, at this point, it just looks like they're scared, bro.
Yeah.
But in week 1, from what I've been told by other people, is that Island Shots didn't sign a sub up on the check-in sheet, right?
Oh, boy.
So when someone couldn't play, they only had 4 people.
Okay.
I'm assuming that happened again this week because when one person couldn't play, they have 4 people.
Right. So then they just can't play at all because they don't have a sub.
Yeah.
So what happened apparently was that Island Paladin, but the game wouldn't load. It said that it was taking too long or something. The message, it literally said on the Xbox, like, error, Paladins, taking too long or something. It didn't say that. It said it in technical terms.
Yeah.
But and he tried like dozens of times and it kept happening. So they forfeited game 1.
Okay.
I see.
15 minutes after this,
They had to,
it was supposed to start. Then he kept trying. He uninstalled the game. He reinstalled the game. Had to forfeit match 2. It kept giving him the same message. It kept going and going and going. And then eventually he's just, yeah, we're going to forfeit game 3. So no sub. So I don't know if he forgot to sign someone up or people didn't show up. I mean, to me, this is ridiculous. You've had like 30 players this entire season so far, and you can't get a 6th person to show up. So,
Right.
not 30.
Yeah,
Well,
of course.
you know,
but,
a wealth of players
yeah.
regardless. So
We're
when you
almost
burn,
at 30. I think they hit 13 or 14. 13.
either way, that's pretty
Right.
excessive. And I mean, it doesn't help that a lot of the times that, at least instances that I can think of, like, I know that no one's sitting there holding a grudge per se, but a lot of the players had burned bridges when they were dropped or when they left. You know what I mean? So it's not like there's always the friendly relationship where you could just hit somebody up and say, hey, you know what? Our 5th guy is experiencing technical difficulties. Can any one of the 9 of you show up? Like,
No. Yeah, because most of the times, from what I've heard around, is that typically the feelings were mutual when they left or dropped or whatever. So, I mean, it is going to be harder, especially when you keep dwindling down the actual players, and then you're going to start getting like these weird players showing up that like don't actually play, or like very, very new rookies that haven't even like competed in a PCL or like a PCS even for when that was back then. So, I mean, it is really weird, and I mean, it's like another forfeit against Elevate. So I don't know.
I mean, in
Elevate-
actuality, even if they would have showed up, Elevate presumably would have just taken it 3-0 and had their win regardless. So, I mean,
Dude,
it just
so, I
saved
mean-
them some time. Maybe they got to have a nice Monday. Who knows?
Let me tell you something. Team Viral's gotten 3-0'd every single week. They've played 21 games, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So theoretically, 21 is the least amount of games you can.
Right.
Dude, Elevate's played 15 games.
That's because of
Okay.
Retaliation having to forfeit twice against them, correct? Yeah, it's
so
-6.
they get
So
3. They get
So
the
6. Yeah.
they get the 6 points in the standings, and they're technically 7-0 with a 21 plus in the game,
Right.
plus and minus. But they've only played 15
15
actual
right.
games. That's partly why Payne's at 11-9-1 KDA, man.
Yeah. Just less games you play.
It's so insane.
So on the other side of the spectrum,
I think they have the second least amount of kills in the league as a team because they just don't play it. They just don't
jeez,
play.
what the
They're not
hell?
playing.
All right, I mean, that's one way to.
They're 3-0.
I don't know.
They 3-0 everyone when they do play when they get 4.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Remember
But
what I said
Retaliation
last
can't
week?
make it.
They're
Wait, what?
bored, bro. They're
Yeah.
bored.
I mean, they'll have a chance to not be bored with this MSI setup, but we'll get into MSI a little bit later.
Right.
What about this Estorm versus Cats on Mars set? Because unlike Retaliation, Estorm showed up, even though they're both in a similar position at the bottom of the bracket, you know?
Just kind of same thing. We could have possibly resulted from Elevate versus Retaliation. Quick games, really easy, just like stomps. I mean, it wasn't really much to say. I mean, you got Cool Matt, you got the Cats on Mars roster that's been basically the same for most of the time, and just they've been doing amazing. They've been growing as well as a team, and they're just going against a team that so far hasn't really shown a bunch of improvement. So I mean, it's rough for them, but I mean, not much to say there.
All right, here's the breakdown of Estorm versus Cats on TLDR right here. Cats on Mars realized if they don't play Elevate, they can run whatever the hell they want. They play Strix, even though Strix is not that freaking good anymore. And Cool Matt just runs at people with his pistol.
So,
and
that's the thing, right? Strix
he
might not be
doesn't-
good, but Cool Matt's good on Strix.
He
So,
doesn't miss his sniper shots. They just pulls out his pistol. He's been playing the game over and over again. He's not complaining about missing shots anymore on Twitter, so he's feeling himself even more. The skin on Strix is super cool. Like, that's basically the breakdown of this game. But I
Yeah.
will tell you this. Shout out to Estorm. They finally figured out who the 5 people they want to play every
Right.
week. And now all they need to do is buckle down and find some synergy and chemistry and learn how to play the game properly so they can survive relegations.
Right.
They have finally found, they've used like 8 people and they kept switching it up.
yeah.
Like, you play this
Right.
week, you play this week, Well, they found 5 people. So hopefully they keep these 5 people and they keep going in there, by the way. Yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned that too, by the way, because
That's pretty much all that's the whole thing. Set.
Right.
so even when you're at the bottom of the standings, right? And we could use it's comparable to Ps4 NA, which we'll jump into that in a moment as well. But I'm thinking of like Lowkey scheming big money, that type of situation where it's like you're both at the bottom, you're both tied, or at least the last time they were tied. This time they took the set, they got ahead, but
they were tied in set, but not maps.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. But what I mean to imply is that Estorm might look at it and say, you know, like, okay, so what? We have the 5 people. Even if we train, we're only going to be third. Like, third is still good. Showing an improvement is still good because if you're honing your skills, you're using your time. You have your set 5 roster. You scrim. You use your time productively. Then screw it. You're going to be third by default because Retaliation. You're a step up above Retaliation at that point. At least you have a solid 5. And look beyond. You're looking to relegation, right? So you use your PCL matches to get the most practice you can out of them. You use your scrims to get the most practice you can out of them. Use your time efficiently. Take whatever you learned, you approach relegation. So that's why I'm glad you said that, because that's what I feel like teams need to always look for, the bigger picture. You look for the bigger picture, look beyond just where you are in the standings, look for what the standings might imply and what you're learning along the way and how it might affect you in the long term as opposed to just the short term. But actually, before we go to Ps4 NA, because that's I feel like we're going to have the most to talk about there. Ps4 EU, I want to jump back over across the Atlantic.
Okay.
What did we think about FlashPoint versus Ehrenmanner? Because it was 3-0.
Yeah.
And different roster, different lineup that we saw. Forms, you want to take it first?
Nah, I don't know about that one. I think that's a blue one right there.
That's a blue one right there?
That's a blue one right there.
Well, I mean, the roster that they had here is that's
a blue one?
It's always a blue one, man. Blue.
It's always a blue one.
It's always a blue one, man.
Look, dude. Just because I sit here all day, fucking analytics, dude, it would probably take me like a year to computer out of notes, bro. I
mean, all right. Well, if you want, then I'll start it out because I do have a little bit of insight. Full disclosure, again, I mentioned this before the show, but now that we're recording, just for the audience to know, I'd stepped down because of the time difference, and there are a few things that I have to hammer out in my personal life.
From what? You gotta tell them.
Coaching Ehrenmanner. Because I have some things in real life I got to straighten out. So the time difference, where it would be kind of like midday for me when they're getting on and scrimming, it didn't synchronize well with the objectives that I have in mind. Thankfully, the podcast is in the...
Listen here, people, viewers of Leo's Lounge, pay attention. He just lied to you. He did not quit because of that. He stepped down from coaching the team because he finally found out what Ehrenmanner's true meaning is, and it's fuck the French. He thought they were yanking his chain, saying it means whatever they told him. He Googled it in the thesaurus of dictionary encyclopedias and found out that it means F the French. And he said, F you guys, I'm out of here. You lied to me. That's why.
Still on his conspiracy
And now every time he butters his bread in the morning or his toast, he's gonna be haunted by those memories.
I'm just gonna see, what is it, the fork or the knife in the bread. That's it. I just have flashbacks. No, but the reason why I wanted to say that is because I mean, not that it ever affected how I like to approach things. I would use the knowledge that I had as a coach to see what's going on behind the scenes to kind of facilitate some of the discussion. But I just wanted to highlight that this way that now everybody knows there's actually like no attachment. There's like no reason at all. Again, not that I would have been prior to, but.
No, it's okay, man. When I got placed as the coach of Onslaught, I had that big bias or fable at the time. Then we swapped to Onslaught. I had that big problem with me too.
No, honestly though, I felt like I didn't have that. The only difference would be like I could objectively analyze if they did poorly. That's fine. If we didn't do what we needed to do,
people still call me biased.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's a
cool kid thing to do, man.
I see. I just wanted to dissuade that. But they were trying to experiment a little bit with a roster. I know this from behind the scenes, primarily because so Beanie off tank, he's got a lot of stuff that goes on in his life. So he's between work and other, I want to say, personal obligations. I'm not going to oust everything that he does. It's harder for him to play. Also, with how much more serious the game is getting, it's hard to dedicate that time. So they're trying a lot of roster moves. So this involved, like, I think if I'm not mistaken, did we play with Beanie? Did they play with Beanie in the PCL games?
Beanie's played every single week.
Okay, yeah. So they played with him this last
who
time.
Cares about that?
All right,
Who's
hold on.
DPS? Because Riser is not coming back, I heard.
That's what I was getting into. Is Riser, he did them the solid. He subbed in when we needed him to sub in. Because with the absence. Yeah. Go.
Did you guys the solid? He went 1-1 in game.
Listen to me and listen to me well. Better to play the game than not play the game. All right, better to play the game than not play the game. So we did the solid of subbing when there was nobody else that was available. I'm not defending performance. All right, I'm not
playing the game, bro.
But without him, we wouldn't have been able to actually play out the set. Well, they wouldn't have been able. I got to get out of the habit of saying we because I got to make that detachment here. But
Leo,
what I mean to say is
result, bro. 1-1-0.
Absolutely. But what they're going to do moving forward is something different. They're going to be shuffling a few more people around. Rumors on the street is somebody's coming back. Can't tell you who, but you could probably guess. And,
Donka, baby!
No. Yeah, imagine that.
Italiano!
I'm going to tell you right now that
Wait, is it not Donka?
No, it's not. He's not coming onto the Ehrenmanner lineup. He's been playing a lot with like IT and whatnot, but let's just put it this way. The next week that's coming up will be a lot better of a performance out of them. I can almost 110% guarantee that because it's a more solid lineup and it's going to be a more communicative lineup.
Okay,
so,
we'll ban Splitstone.
I mean, we did it last time. Why not this time?
Well, you're going up against Stush.
No, I know, but and I want to get into them in a minute because their set was really good. But I feel like that set was business as usual. Obviously, the team had a bit of communication problems. Riser subbing in was solid, so we could play the set, but the performance was a little lackluster, to say the least. And I think no matter what rendition roster would have came out, I think it's FlashPoint. At the end of the day, the set would have played out the same way that it would have. I don't know. I don't really see anybody's taking a map off of them besides Stush, how they already did. But Stush is like a curious case, right? And before we get into their set, let me just explain. They're the most curious case. I can't. Not a week goes by where I don't feel perplexed because they're the team that challenges FlashPoint the most, but they can't take a set. What is this?
They challenge the other teams as well. I think they're the best winless team in the.
I think that goes without saying. I think that goes without saying.
When they get one win, if they get one win, they're the best one team in the. No, check this out, right? There's two important things that came out of the FlashPoint and Ehrenmanner game, right? Number one is that Skeppy played Pip, so obviously blasters are not a problem for him on
right.
All right.
He's figured that out. I guess Pip was a little test run because he's not as bad as like Bomb King and Drogos. So maybe we won't see him go to Drogos and Bomb King, but I think he'll feel a little bit more comfortable on his scans, especially now that he's played Pip on EU and it's worked out, right? Second thing that was very important from that set is Urnuss. Urnuss is in the top 10 in the league in kills and deaths. So that tells me that he's getting kills, he's getting picks, but the team is not playing as aggressive as Urnuss. So Urnuss wants to play more aggressively while the rest of his team wants to play passively. So what needs to happen, they can't get rid of Urnuss. He's the
absolutely not.
Backbone of their damage right now. What they need to do, I know they're going to be making roster changes, whatever. I don't care what it is, but you need to find either, okay, we all need to play as aggressive as Urnuss, or Urnuss, you need to play as passive as us, or we can find some middle ground. You guys can't be doing total opposites, though. That's the two biggest things that came out of this set.
I want to piggyback off of that because Urnuss, for the way that all right, and you flamed me for this last time because I didn't consider Tito and somebody else, but in the PCL right now, Urnuss is the best damage source that is not on FlashPoint.
Tito's coming back?
No.
Oh, God,
but you flamed me for it last time, so I was just making mention of
baiting me every time. I thought it was Donka. I thought it was. Who else is coming back? There's no one else from that region worthy of coming back.
Someone's coming back who left recently. Let's put it that way. But with that out of the way, no. You can keep guessing, but I'm not blowing up. You will see the next time that there's PCL matches for sure. All right,
bro. Listen.
Okay, you're keeping it in the dark like that.
Hell yeah, dude. You gotta keep suspense. You gotta keep suspense. Absolute suspense.
Transparency. You want more competitive matches? Tell them who you're playing with, and then they'll be like, all right, we gotta prepare for them. And then when you win, still, the ego in the BM hits them even harder.
The other teams know who it is because the scrims are fielding the roster right now. So, I mean, everybody else in EU knows who it is, but you just have to be patient. You just have to wait. You have to deal with the suspense. We're dealing with Game of Thrones level suspense here, right? No, but seriously, Urnuss is
I'm changing match of the week on Console Corner after.
Oh, geez. But no, what I mean to say is that, especially with my experiences with the team, I could say that Urnuss is one of the most communicative players on that team. He will do call-outs most regularly, no matter how tilted, no matter how balanced, doesn't matter. He will call out what he sees, when he sees it, and when he's going for it. And I do agree with you, they need to find that middle ground or support that aggression that Urnuss has. Because when he does have champions that have pick potential, he will get somebody low, call them out that they're low, and then say he's diving them. And a lot of the times, as you've noted, he's top 10 in kills, top 10 in deaths. Well, that's because he goes for that kill and he knows he can get it. And a lot of the time, if he dives back there, he's getting that pick and he might die, but usually he'll take out like 2 people or make somebody else really, really low before he goes down. So I think there's a lot of value in what he's doing. I think there is a way to temper back the deaths, and I think that's by boosting the entire team's aggression or ability to follow up. And that's going to come with a review of positioning, because I think if people are across the map but they're dealing with unique pressures, if Urnuss sees an opportunity and he can get to it, whether or not everybody can follow up is going to be different depending on the composition that you have. It's going to be dependent on the ults that you have, the champions that you have, the mobility that they have. There's so many variables involved. But I have full confidence that they can get that together if they understand that that's the issue. Because once you diagnose what the problem is, it's just that much easier to kind of find a solution for it.
Yeah, they just got to find a middle ground.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with Urnuss' play, except for the fact that the rest of the team doesn't want to play at the same aggression as him.
Right.
Or even at the same pace too. Like.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem. 2 different paces.
Yeah.
So what do we think about Arial, Arise, and Stush? Because to me, that was a 3-1 set. Stush took a map off of them. I feel like they challenged them pretty thoroughly. But Stush always has this weird thing where even if they take a team to like 3-3, it's kind of like they get amnesia the last round and they just kind of throw the game away sometimes. I don't know what it is. That's why I'm saying that they confound me so much. I love them so much. They play so well and then they don't.
Like, yeah, you and F. could fanboy over them all day. So Stush is Splitstone special, bro.
Yes.
That's what Arial Arise got hit with. The Stush split special, baby. Game 3, they took him to
Splitstone banned.
Yeah.
Splitstone banned, man. Splitstone banned.
Yeah.
Do your research, players.
Benji is still playing super aggressively, even though again, and that's good because now he can get away with it even more because he has a bigger health pool. And he's been playing tanks for most of his career, so that's the plus for him. Stush still winning on Splitstone. I think they've only lost 1 Splitstone map all season. And you know, the problem I have with these teams, man, they are just picking champs they don't need to pick. Why are you picking Androxus? Stop picking Androxus. Just pick Vivian or Tyra or Genos or Victor and just win the game, dude. It's like we don't need to pick Andro. He's not that good. And then also Eevee, bro. Paradox God. I don't care how good you are on Eevee. Your first time in the PCL, you did good on Eevee, but it was against who was it against? Stush?
No, I actually don't know.
No. It was against Ehrenmanner.
Yeah,
dude.
I always forget their name.
It's his 2nd week in the PCL. Stop playing Eevee. I'm sorry to tell you that she's not that good on console. Okay, you need to play Victor, Vivian, Tyra, Genos, Khan, Barrick. Like, dude, just win the game. It's like, stop picking these unneeded picks like Androxus. You want to play a flank? Get the Talus. And if you're team 2 not banning Genos in the PCL, I'm done with you.
I feel like you have to have some sort of big brain play in mind if you think about giving that up. Like, it provides too much because even if you get first of all, the damage buff in and of itself is obviously insane. Plus, sustain over time is obviously insane. That makes the difference between a close fight and then making it one-sided. But I mean, if you get your hands on a flank like a Talus, which is usually banned, but more so like the Koga that's been coming out recently, especially in response to the Tyra. Genos mark on him, I don't know. He's just having a fun time. He's just running around.
Yo, check this out, right? We're streaming the non-broadcasted games on the Console Pro News channel on Monday night, and the Arial Rise and Stush game is one of those sets, right?
Yes.
Right.
Tatsumi Yoshi actually subbed in for Stush Gaming because Nico Noob didn't play.
Right.
Okay.
Which, by the way, excuse me. That's the first time Stush has made a roster change.
Okay.
Right.
But him and who's the other damage player? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. My memory is shit too.
Chico.
There you go.
Chico.
BYC Chico.
So
yeah.
they're talking in the Twitch chat while the game's, and Tatsumi's like, "Man, you carried this game." Chico's like, "Nah, it was just a good draft." You played Andro, man. It's not the draft. You just beat them on your best map.
Yeah.
Stop picking Androxus. You can pick Androxus if there's 30 bans per.
If there's 30 bans,
30
understood.
bans. He hit him with the 30
Which
bans.
means Andro will get banned. So.
Jesus, dude.
Dude, he's like okay. He's not bad, but
Yeah.
he's not good. Oh, he's good, but he's not
Right.
really good.
I feel like it's a situational pick, right? They have the option of running a lot of weird picks because BYC Chico does happen to play a lot of them. But at the same time, it's the drawback, right? It's the same concept where if you could pick between two champions, pick the one that's the hit scan and not the projectile. Why? Because sure, that champion might be good, but at the same time, you have to perform at a higher level to get a similar result to playing at a slightly lower level with the pure hit scan.
Right.
So it's like, why make your life harder? Why make it so that you have to perform at higher than normal to get a normal performance or outcome? I don't see the logic in that.
Let me tell you something. So back in the day when console paladins first started, there was to build a team, you need a frontline player, you need an off tank who can flex. You need another flex, you need a DPS, and you need a support, right?
All right.
Way back in the day, it was we need 2 tanks, 2 DPSs, and a support, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of transitioned to 2 tanks, a flex, a DPS, and a support. Then it transitioned into 1 frontline, 2 flex, 1 DPS, and a support, right?
Yeah.
Now it's kind of most of the top teams like FlashPoint and Elevate. Most of them can play any role.
Right.
It's not just they're mechanical gods, they're good at the game, whatever, but they can play multiple roles. Because if you can't, like Chico, right? His champ pool, not all of his champs are viable, right?
Right.
Yeah.
In small cases, people can find a way to make their champ pool work in a non-viable state.
Right.
But most of the time, a player comes to me, okay, what's your champ pool? What do you play? It gives me the champ pool. I'm like, well, none of those are viable right now. I'm not going to put them on my team. Like, you need to be able to flex. You need a large champ pool. Not too large, but you need a large champ pool for your role. That way, if like this half or these 6 champs are not viable as much anymore, in certain situations they still could be, but you can move to your other side of your champ pool and be like, okay, well, these are the most viable right now. So, I mean, Chico's a really good Drogos. He's a really good Andro. He's a really good flank, but dude, it's like Urnuss is a really good Zen, right? He's a pretty good Zen.
Right.
Yeah.
Bro, Legacy grabs him with Khan in grab. He hits the billow in midair, and it's finished by the time he hits the floor.
Yeah. Zen Zen's out.
Dude, don't play Zen. What are you playing Zen for?
Yeah.
Every champion in the game has 3 abilities.
Yeah.
Zen has.
Now it just doesn't exist anymore. It's
dude. Counter is a better escape than Billow. How? What?
Yeah, Billow's just not good anymore. I think it's because like these people are seeing this like the PC matches where they're still playing Zen, even though it's like they're playing like a patch behind. I think still technically, I don't know if anymore, but like now, like I can guarantee you're not going to be seeing near as much Zen as you're ever. Even if you're going to see Zen anymore in the competitive play, just doesn't work.
Let me tell you something. If you're playing Zen in ranked as a ranked monkey, yeah. Everything works in ranked because nobody turns around.
Right.
Okay. But in a pro setting, dude, don't pick Zen, don't pick Androxus, don't pick Eevee. Just like, dude, just
you're putting your time. Yeah, you're putting your time into a character like that when you can get so much more out of a Leon. Putting your time into Leon, Tyra, Victor, Vivian.
No, don't get me wrong. These champions are all viable.
Right.
But it's like
just
there's more champions with more situations.
Yeah,
than
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Okay.
But yeah.
So do
By
we
the way, Chico got flamed on Drogos in this set. He's a good Drogos, but man, he had a bad day.
and
he admitted too he had a bad day.
I was in the chat actually when you were streaming them, and I feel like he said that in the chat himself. No.
Yeah. That's when he said it.
Yeah. All right.
Dude, he was kidding. We were just trolling him the whole time.
So do we have any other notes on the Arial Rise versus Stush set, or?
I don't
Dude,
really
ban
think
Splitstone.
so. I mean,
Ban
yeah, I just think like
Splitstone.
make sure you're doing your research because obviously Stush
Get
is
hit with
insane
the Stush special, bro.
Yeah, like I mean they're obviously insane on splits, so just ban it. Like it's their map, man. Just ban it.
Honestly, it is.
If you don't ban Splitstone against Stush, you deserve to lose to an Andro.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, that's fair. Like, I don't have nothing else to say about that.
By the way, Andro bug is fixed. By the way,
Andro
Hey.
bug, which one?
You dash up in the air and you go to hit your locks you out.
Yeah.
It locks
It's
you.
terrible.
Wait, what does it do?
It locks you out of your ult, so you can't ult. So you
Yeah.
just look like-
There's no way. I don't play him at all. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah,
your brother hasn't raged about it yet.
Nah, he hasn't been the one trick for a while. So he plays it sometimes, but I don't know if he gets locked out. Maybe he knows about it, so he avoids like circumstances to put himself in it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so imagine like triple dashing up to the sky, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm about to hit this penta," and then all of a sudden you're just, "All right, cool. I'm just gonna drift back down till
That's
unlock
so sad.
Yeah,
till I can hit
not
till I
good.
can hit triangle."
That's depressing. That's
Yeah.
depressing. No.
Why?
So they fixed it, so bless it.
God bless. Honestly, like, I'm just happy that shit like that's out. I don't play him, so it doesn't affect me at all. But
For those of you out there wondering about Andro desync, they're still
Okay.
okay, nice to know.
little AOC
AOC blue ball.
drop. Yeah.
How about Ps4 NA? I feel like we're gonna have the most to say about this. Obviously, Swarmso is a Ps4 NA resident here. Most of the people I know Ps4 NA. Blue ball, you're also. Well, my bad. Real Blue TV. You are Ps4 NA.
My name is Blue, dude.
I know, but it's fun to say the whole thing. I don't know why. But
I know. You know, my favorite is I go into stream like, "Oh, thanks, Real Blood," and I'm like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, real blood.
"What?
The true champion.
I didn't even get that. What?"
Hey man, some people just they don't know. They don't know the real blue.
Feel real
TTV.
blue after they say that shit that way. I mean, no,
Listen,
Twitch
dude,
TV,
I
no Twitch
had to
TV,
put
no Twitch
TTV in my
TV, dude.
PSN.
No.
I had to. Blue was taken. Blue TV was taken. Real Blue was taken, and Real Blue TV was taken. So I had to put TT.
That's unfortunate. I hate it so much, dude.
Oh, it's okay. Every single week, again and again and again.
All right, welcome to Name Hell. Jesus Christ, dude.
The next way, you know, your coma._real blue TV.
Oh, no.
The coma is coming back.
I'm not talking about this, dude. Listen,
Dude,
there's only
no,
been.
no.
I don't care how good they do. There's only been one good coma team.
There's
That
only
team's
been one
never
good
coming
coma.
back.
I'm gonna
Dude,
tell
Objection's
you.
not coming back. Grapple's not coming back. I would love to see them come back. But Monster.
I had a conversation with Vengeance because he was asking me to play, and then I had mentioned it to Izzy and Cop. We were in a party, so we were having this conversation. I was like, I was actually thinking about changing my name to Koma Tsukiyo, and then he was like, why? I was like, because I play so bad. It's like I'm in a coma anyway. Might as well. Like, I don't know, dude. It was funny to me. Like,
disgusting, man.
bro,
No more coma, please. There's only one good coma. That was the old coma. There's no new coma.
All right, well,
And
coma.
Stop being weird and 5-stacking casuals.
Coma's not here for now. But you know who's here is Onslaught and Heating Up, and that was the match of the week. That's Ps4 NA match of the week.
If Coma plays, and they accuse
We're never getting out of
people,
coma.
listen, and they accuse people of DDoSing one single time, they're banned from everything I do.
Jesus, dude. Well, forget
If they
about
come
the
into my
bans.
stream-
Forget about the
If they
bans.
come into my stream, I'm gonna be like this all day.
Jesus, dude.
All right, now we can go to PS4 NA because
I think Blue is a genius. I think Blue is a genius. Did you see that? Because I referenced
happened?
Onslaught and heating up, and he just put his arm at like the stiff arm, like football players do, and that's kind of what the set felt like at game 3 moving forward. Like,
jeez, they have to do me like that. God.
No. But in all seriousness,
Swarmso's playbook got stiff armed in his face, bro.
I had it going, man. Then they just fucking slapped me in the forehead.
So you know, like, this is good though, because
2016 Warriors out here.
So you're obviously, everybody knows you're a part of Onslaught. So you can also give us like some insight on that set. Like, first of all, what did you think about the set as a whole? And then what happened from that point in game 3 forward? That, because let's not try to pretend that Ascension Peak wasn't a closer game. But then it reverted back to the I think it was 4-0 in the last game as well. So something happened game 3, and it felt like the final fight, the Super Saiyan fight, occurred on Ascension Peak. And then Spirits felt like they were broken after that. It kind of felt like Onslaught was a different team in game 5.
One of the biggest things that we did with going into that set, right, was we kind of understood what we knew, like, from like different sources, from watching our scrims, from watching like different scrims of theirs. Okay. We knew what they were like planning on doing when we first started, right? We knew exactly what they wanted, so we were drafting around like what they wanted, countering, taking it from what they knew.
Oh, you gave them what they wanted. You gave
well.
Raid boss.
The biggest issue, right, was that the first 2 games it worked exactly how we like wanted to. We had what we wanted. We took away what they needed, and we were just kind of like playing really well into it. And we were like really hyped up. We were ready to play. Everything was going well. Then it hit Bright Marsh. One bad call wasn't even really like, it was kind of like a team decision at the end of the day. It was possibly it was really bad, but like we like had a long talk about it and just it didn't work out. We picked the Ashe early, which was the most terrible decision we could have possibly picked out. It was picked into the Genos, which we should have understood was already a bad thing. And it kind of like that game on, the offlane didn't feel the same, felt demoralized. That Ascension Peak game, we tried bringing it back up. We were like really like into the game, playing it really well, like really well as much as like we could. It was just Koga was so strong, we didn't really have like a solution to it at the time. So we were just like, well, you know, like nothing, we have to play this game, right? Like we can't just like give up here. Like if it goes 2-2, we're gonna be in a really hard spot because then we have to like force ban it out, right? So we were playing and it just didn't work out. Unfortunate battle at the end. Koga touches point, then they all like come back in. Koga has his ult readily available, uses it, stays alive for an insane amount of time, and props to SoldierBot for doing that. And it just felt like we kind of like after that it was just downhill. It was we went to Certain Beach. Everybody wasn't happy. Our offlane wasn't really talking. Everybody was pretty demoralized, and it just kind of like the mental game fell from there. After the Bright Marsh game, it just felt like it was just a staggering decline. Morale was slowly getting like sapped out of us by the Koga, and just when you have that guy just back and forth, dashing back, and he just never dies. One person doesn't look at him, he never dies. Something like that. Just things like those tiny little things where like we don't really play it a lot into. We don't play a lot of into Koga when we were playing scrims and stuff. So this was kind of new, not really new because we understood Koga. Just sometimes it just doesn't work out and just demoralized us after that. We banded Serpent Beach to not get rid of it, and then instead of picking Tyra, we picked Grok, and the Grok didn't really do anything. We started losing pressure on the offlane because we went Slugshot. That wasn't really a decision. That was kind of like oh wow, we went Slugshot, what the hell? Like we didn't know that until like the game was like already progressively going.
Was it on Fish Market? No, you only
it was on Fish Market. Yeah.
Bro.
I think I know how that might have happened, by the way, because since the last patch, the last update, when you open up your talents, it automatically highlights the first one. Yeah. I know that it should be integrated, but I think with the circumstances of the long set and people feeling demoralized,
it highlights the middle one. It highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we wanted Fortress Breaker because we wanted the Fortress Breaker for the whole high ground thing because it is, yes, double like hit scan into a shield, but like at the same time, they can't push into it really. You have the reset card for Siege Engine 5. You have the hold. You just need to play behind that wall. You throw your shield up. You just pelt them with Leon damage. The Ruckus can't push you because you can boop him back. And like if he comes back, he's in a really bad spot. He already used most of his charges for his dash. Forces emitter. And it was just very unfortunate. Nobody was really talking towards the end parts of the game. And it was just a really difficult set. I mean, they played really well towards the end. They didn't get demoralized at the end of the day. And unfortunately resulted in our loss. And I think that's really what happened. And I mean, can't really do much about that. We just got to come back, look at our mistakes, and then come back stronger for the last map. or the last set against him.
Okay.
All right.
So let's break it down here.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Is this
no.
a blue thing? Is this a blue thing?
It's a blue thing for sure.
It's about to be a blue thing.
You know what Onslaught's problem is? It's also a problem Lowkey scheming has, and it's also a problem Big Money Esports has. None of you have a player that can play Makoa.
I can play Makoa at a decent level.
Who?
Fiery Impact.
Yeah, at about
Makoa.
the same level you can play him.
Hey, I can play Koa fine. I'm the best.
Exactly.
Makoa.
You can play. You're a decent Makoa, and so is Fiery. But you guys don't have an insane Makoa. And I feel like the 3 teams I just listed, Heating Up has 2 good Makoas, right? They got Whoosh, who's notably a really good Makoa, and you have Dovahkiin, who's a decent Makoa as well. But I think they're both banned from playing Makoa. I don't think their team will let them play Makoa. So basically, all of Ps4 NA has no Makoa play. So I'm just like, I'm banning something else, and I'm just letting them have Makoa. They're not going to do anything with it, right? I think Onslaught came out strong, but they just failed to close the set out. The morale problems, dude, that cannot happen.
Right.
You're up 2-0. I get it. You lose the 3rd game. Okay, you're up 2-1. You lose 2-2. Yeah, your morale's going to go down, but you even more because now it potentially could be a reverse sweep. And you cannot let the morale do that to yourself. You can't fight amongst each other. You can't have anyone stop communicating, stop talking. You just can't do that. You know the last time something that big happened? Fable at the Spring LAN. The most overhyped team to win a LAN ended up losing. And you could tell from their faces and on camera. They just lost morale.
Right.
You look at Onslaught during HRX most recently. You look at the camera. I even said it on the desk. Golden Boy directly asked me, Blue, what's going on? I said, yo, this is a communication problem. Right. I look at 3 of those guys on that stage, and they're not saying a word. Right. So, I mean, you can't let that happen to you because then things are only going to get worse.
Right.
Next thing is GoodLad is that good, lad. Let me tell you, bro. He played Grok the first game. Onslaught won. Played something else second game. Onslaught won. They said, GoodLad must have said, yo, give me some DPS, bro. Okay?
Right.
Because guess what? He was playing some funky picks at the Spring LAN, and all of a sudden he said, yo, give me Vivian. And what happened?
And just play.
Bulldozer, my dude. He's a human bulldozer. So GoodLad was definitely the hard carry. He wore the title as well. That was pretty funny. And the casters mentioned it. So GoodLad is he's put GoodLad on DPS despite how good he can flex onto any other champ. Right. And it's just going to be hard for the other team to do anything, right? So Neil, Wheredaguap, I think his support pool in the pro scene is suffocating, right? And it's always been his problem. He plays Grover, he plays Saris, he plays Genos. He can play Damba, but why doesn't he do it in the PCL as often, right? Right. He can play the other healers as well. Why doesn't he do it? You see him play Grover, Saris, and Genos most of the time. Yes, 2 of those are really good champs in Grover and Genos. But if Genos gets banned, which it was, I think, like a couple games, right? That only leaves Grover and Saris. They pick up Grover. What are you going to pick up? Well, 9 times out of 10, I can gamble that he's going to pick Saris, right? Go with the Damba. Switch it up. He can play those other champs, but why doesn't he? That's the problem he has is he can seriously get banned out because he hasn't proven at this level of play that he can play those champions.
If I may, I don't know what it might be because I have seen him play some of the other champions. Now, granted, even if you date back to the first set that Onslaught had against Heating Up, while Dovahkiin was still on Onslaught, the closest game was the Frozen Guard game where Neil was on the Damba, which is something like you said we had. And yes, exactly. The closest game in the set. And it was on the healer that he hasn't demonstrated that he's willing to pick first. I'm not saying he cannot play it, but I'm saying that was the closest game. And I know that he can. I've seen him play it in scrims personally. I know that he can play it against these teams. My issue is Is there maybe a confidence issue somewhere? Does he not prefer that champion? Is it more ease of access because Genos is like there's less variance when executing a Genos or a Grover or a Ceres? I think he should have full confidence in himself. I mean, look at Miracle. They'll pick the Damba on purpose. FlashPoint will pick the Damba on purpose. I don't think Neil should shy away from it. I think he's capable.
I don't think it's a confidence problem. I think it's maybe like the rest of the team doesn't really know how to play with that.
I think one of the biggest issues.
I mean, he could tell us.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing of why we don't pick Damba is because we've been. I guess, but we've been working more with the Damba, trying to figure it out because the way our team plays is a very aggro, kind of face push style, and it's not a secret to anybody. That's kind of how we play.
Wait, you play aggressive. You can play Damba and.
Okay, but you have to play aggressive a bit differently into Damba because you're not going to be getting because Ceres heals a lot more than Damba in a very quick burst. She does.
Okay. I was about to say.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's much
After
easier.
Cauterize, it ain't working like that.
Yeah, it's you play into it, you go into it really hard in, and you just get a pick because you're getting that full on Ceres pocket of 200 a side, or it's 160 you caught one something.
Yeah, but with Ceres, on Serpent, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you play with Ceres and you're playing that aggressive style, you kind of have to death ball. You're limited to the amount of space you can have because the Ceres needs to heal all of them by healing one target specifically.
Right.
If you play a Damba on Serpent, you're able to play that. You can play that aggressive play style still, but you can send someone further away onto high ground or something because you can give them the gourd and then mending spirits the people in front of you or vice versa. Right. So I mean, if Onslaught can get more diverse in their support play, it can affect their overall play as a team.
I agree. I think it is one of the things that we've been working on.
Heating Up's won 3 games off the backbone of Damba from Jeff or Miracle. So I mean, I know Neil can play these champs, and I said last week right here in the lounge that Neil is. It's crazy to me that Neil's still underrated. Both as a player and a support overall. But, I mean, right now, teams figure that they can just ban and pick him out of the equation. So, I mean, that's the thing. So, I mean, and then we were also going to talk about Cop getting picked up.
Yeah, when it comes to the roster changes,
we'll talk about that in a second. But what I was going to say about that is that Cop would be playing in the starting rotation versus Lowkey scheming and big money.
Yeah.
Because GoodLad cannot go to LAN.
Yeah.
Okay. So GoodLad would have to have Cop play for him at LAN, so they need him to play to test him out against the lesser teams at the moment in order to work him into that role where he would be playing against the top team.
And it's almost trivial at this point, right? That's what the game plan was, but now do you care? I mean, I think they might have already announced it. Does it really matter at this point?
Transparency, baby. Let's go.
They picked up Richie, so GoodLad due to his scheduling issues.
So
Richie's taking that spot.
Richie's moved from Onslaught to Heating Up. So who's starting? GoodLad still?
I would imagine Richie. If GoodLad's having the scheduling issues that he couldn't attend the LAN in the first place, I would wager that Richie's just going to be starting and that GoodLad will probably just be maybe sub for FlashPoint or stay sub for Heating Up, one of the two. Because there's no reason why you pick up somebody else who is, I would say at least in the region, one of the pinnacle DPS players and not field them, right?
I mean, okay, so put it this way, right? If GoodLad can't make I would be like, hey, Richie, you can come be our sub. You'll play at LAN because GoodLad can't go, but GoodLad wants to play during the regular season so he can get his regular season prize money. I mean, I don't know. That could be why.
I mean, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
That whole Heating Up issue, that's all them.
So now Onslaught is missing a player, right? And your boy Fiery Impact hits us with the big intel tweet back on my DPS shit. So now he slides back into DPS to fill for Richie, which means you guys need an off tank, which has been the main source of your guys' problem for the entire season after Dovahkiin left. So you pick up Sir Benji, who, by the way, can still not play Makoa.
He went through all of that just to be like, your boy can't play the turtle though. I want to highlight though before we get into the Makoa, like that Fiery's moving back to DPS. By the way,
he's a decent Koa, but he ain't a great Koa.
wait. I like Fiery moving back to DPS because of the fact that, first of all, for a long time, I don't know what anybody else's opinions are. I'm not going to calculate them into this. For a very long time, felt like Fiery Impact is one of the stronger native Ps4 NA DPS players. So I've always wanted to see him on one of the top tier teams playing that role to see exactly what he's capable of on the PCL stage, right? Yes. When I came into the scene, like I think like Objection and Grapple are on their way out. Mm-hmm. They were like
the second time or the first time?
I guess I don't know the second time. They were on streets.
The second time would be the one that they're gone. Okay, so the second time after
Second time was Streets of Drury Lane.
Yeah, Streets of Drury. That's what I'm talking about. That's the last time that I had saw them. But
okay, that was the second time on there.
Yeah, that was the second time.
I don't know. I've rated him highly.
Tanks.
I don't even remember it. I'll be honest with you.
He was playing tanks with Streets. Yeah. Him and Evil Shadow.
Yeah. But I think that the synergy that
I want him to come back too.
It would be nice if a lot of those players who were just genuinely good at the game would return. Dude, but at the same time,
Evil Shadow, he was like a top player, but at the same time, a top Twitter arguer, bro. He's awesome. He was like the white version of Sorrow.
Oh. But I want to see that synergy. I want to see the synergy out of Fiery and TKO because they've also played together for a very long time.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I don't think on a team environment before this.
They were ranked monkeys together.
But they play off of each other really well. They have a lot of history playing the game together, and I think that this could be good for TKO in a lot of ways because he does like to play a more aggro style. He's not very tempered per se. And I think that Fiery being there with him, the fact that they have that historic playing, like the relationship playing together, I think that they'll play off of each other's calls a lot. Fiery, to my experience,
Fiery's gonna have to learn to play like most of the Richie champs per se.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see TKO playing Kanessa or Strix or.
I think one of the biggest things that we were looking at. I mean, Fiery he was a shot one trick for like
a
when
long
he first started,
time.
He was.
Oh yeah, you guys were the first team to too.
Yeah,
you pulled out last week with Richie.
It's one of those things where we looked at what we had now, right? Without Richie, we're missing this DPS spot that could be pretty easily filled. Not necessarily slot somebody in as equally skilled as Richie, but we could slot somebody in there, right? And one of the people that is possibly closest, if not already on that level, was Fiery Impact. He's already been he was a native DPS player, and then we moved him to the off tank role, which it's a rough role, and like we talked about last week, is arguably the hardest role in the game by a good margin. And now we were just okay, well, if we put Fire back on DPS, where he can actually shine, do what he likes to do, maybe even be more comfortable and talk more because of it. We need to fill this off tank role. Well, obviously, I'm not going to go back to the off tank. I'm not I'm not a player at this point. I've realized I'm just going to coach. I'm going to work on my coaching, make sure that that's clear and just good. We don't want to really move anybody else. We don't want to keep doing this constant change of we're moving you here, 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 because we just want to build synergy. We want to take time to do this. We want to build it and make sure it's building right. So we picked up Sir Benji, which is a 100% positive choice right now, but that is possibly what we are going to go with in the long run. And we're going to slot him in the off-tank role. He's a great off-tank. He doesn't have that language barrier that we didn't really want from any EU player, but really most of the EUs can speak English quite well. But we wanted to make sure that we got a good one, someone that doesn't have a language barrier, and as well something that could fit that role that we needed, which is the off-tank.
Can I just say something real quick about roster changes? Especially since Leo won't tell me who Ehrenmanner is. So, I'm interested in the roster change. Yeah, right. I'm gonna make a big deal about it so we can hype up the league and stuff and the matches and
Right.
But the main reason why I need to know roster changes, as soon as they happen, if you tell me, hey, don't tell anyone, I'll be okay, I don't agree with that, but I won't do it because you asked me to. But the same thing is I need to know so that I can I have a whole chat with the casters.
Okay.
And I feed them all this information so that, come game day, they don't just show up and they're like, oh, well, yeah, guess it's that guy playing with this team now.
Right.
And you know, like we go through it. We make sure we know the entire story, like who went where, what team has who, how to pronounce their name, their Twitter accounts, you know, all this stuff so that everyone's prepared for game day so that we look like a cool esport on Mixer, right? Right. And we don't look like and they don't look like bozos out there.
Yeah.
And they don't have to talk about SpongeBob for 20. So, I mean,
I love their obscure references. What do you mean?
If people, I mean, I do too. Yeah, good banter. But you know, if you don't want me to tell anyone, I won't tell anyone. But I'd still like to know ASAP so that I could relay the information to them.
See.
Because as well as that, I also update the Paladins Pro Twitter manager so that, you know, we can change it and stuff.
Right.
And that, you know, he knows, okay, this guy's a Twitter account.
Right. I think it's one of those things where at this point we really just are going to be testing this out. People are going to realize anyways what the hell we're running, so it doesn't really matter whether, like, there's no reason to keep it in the dark. We're going to be scrimming a bunch of teams. They're going to be telling other teams what we're, like, who we're playing with. People are going to realize there's going to be, if they, like, play against Benji's team, well, now not Benji's team, but, like, they're going to realize that Benji's not there. And then, like, if, like, they ask him for scrims, because he was mostly the one that set up scrims, as much as I know from, like, what Neil said and stuff. I mean, like, everybody's going to know eventually. So, I mean, it's not that big a deal. I think this is a great start for us as well to set up for this next time we go against Heating Up. I think Heating Up grabbed a great player as well in Richie. I just hope that now Fiery and Ghost can hit this synergy that they've had and they've built up through, like, playing ranked and stuff together and apply it into an actual competitive setting and see what they can do, because they're both amazing players and I can't wait to see what they decide to go on.
I got to be honest with you. I think at this point Heating Up should just rename themselves to Onslaught 2, because they're 2/5 of their roster is Onslaught roster. I don't know.
I mean, hey man,
you say 2/5?
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be majority, man. 3/5.
I mean, they're not far.
Swarmso, you trying to coach Heating Up?
Not at all.
Well, that would make the 3/5. The 3/6.
I like where I'm at right now. I did get an offer from another team, but I didn't take it. I'd much rather stay with the team I have, and I think a lot of them process information very well, and I think that's going to help us in the long run. And I think actually that might lead us to our victory coming up to the next time we go against Heating Up.
I like the confidence, honestly. And speaking of, like, whole roster shuffles, not that there's been a roster shuffle, but Lowkey Scheming versus Big Money Esports. So that's the matchup that solidified Lowkey Scheming in their third place ranking. 3-0. You know, I think that's what happened the last time they met as well. Yeah. Big Money didn't take a map off of them at all. The only takeaways here is that for the week since Cop was a sub for Heating Up, they got Muadack to fill in for them. And I think that's kind of like a lateral movement, right? Because Muadack, he's a really good hit scan player. So he could
Muadack, bro.
Muadack. I don't know,
I got
dude.
Yelled at for that.
Listen, I had people calling him Muadack, all right? I don't understand why everybody pronounces it differently myself, so. But
I asked his team and him after they yelled at me.
Dude, listen, I've asked a few people on that team too, and depending on the day, they will say it differently. So I'm past it. I'm past it entirely. I'll be honest. But he plays those hit scans well. He can play the Leon. He can play the Victor, and a lot of people on Lowkey like to meme Cop for the Vivian performances that he's had, and Muadack can play Vivian. So one could make the argument that it could have been like a slight upgrade for the champ pools in general, but I do feel like I feel like it's a lateral movement, you know what I mean? I feel like it's
up here.
It's like this.
I think it's like this. I think it goes up. I like for what we're saying, man. I just don't think. I think Cop's an amazing player and he's growing really well and he's doing well in the role that he's been giving from going from support to this to now DPS. I just don't think Muadack's just got like that thing about him that like is a DPS player. He like does the weird like he'll sometimes be in like weird spots that you don't expect. He'll do the damage still. He's doing amazing and he just does this all the time and he's just you're always just like where the am I getting shot at? Like nobody knows where this guy is and he's always been a very good staple player as a DPS. It's just like he's never been on a team And I think now with him, with like Ralkion playing all the weird stuff with like the I guess the EV, the BK, which I still don't agree with necessarily, but like he's still playing those champions, and now he's starting to slowly, you can see he's transitioning more into the traditional roles of the off lane. He's playing more of the traditional things, not trying to like as much run his champ pool, just kind of solidifying it as a traditional role now instead of trying to always play EV, always play BK, always play these weird champions. And it's working out for their team. It's making them stronger. Now you have Muadack, who I think is a better DPS than Cop.
Okay.
Just from like what I've been like, I just think he's a better DPS from how he plays. And the only difference, Muadack is a better DPS than Cop.
Are you being serious right now?
I'm 100% serious.
Bro, did you not see the play?
I'm just saying, I think with more competitive experience, he will slowly grow as a player. This is like the first
he'll slowly grow with more competitive experience. Yeah, he
yeah,
and yo, let me break it down for you. Why Cop?
I've never seen Blue be so offended before. Yeah, your mic is cutting out a little bit.
The Brightmarsh game, Muadack is shooting through window onto capture point with Vivian and stands there looking through the window for a full 35 seconds while the enemy is pounding him in the back of the head and he doesn't turn around. I'm screaming for him to turn around while I'm casting this game and he doesn't turn around.
Right.
Okay? Then guess who saves him? Hatsuchibi stuns him with Maldamba.
I know what play you're talking about, yeah.
Like, you cannot tell me he's better than Cop. Cop could have died in that situation as long as he turns around.
Right.
And that's not the only time in that entire set. There was multiple times. Muadack got away with a lot of things. Not going to lie. Muadack's a really good DPS, but he's young. He has mechanics. Like you said, he gets away with some weird stuff, and that's fine. But he's not better than Cop right now, man. Cop he's considered a rookie in the PCL, but he's played support. He's played support competitively. He's played frontline competitively, and now he's playing damage, which means that he knows how to think as those other roles.
Right.
Unlike Muadack, who maybe just has to think like those other roles, but he can't think at that competitive level as a frontline. He can't think like a support from a competitive level. He can think like those from a ranked level or from what his teammates tell him through communication. But Cop has been there, done that. He knows, okay, I need to back up because my tank's dying. He's going to back up. I can't push. He's not there for me. Okay, I need to do this with this now because of that, because of this person, because of that. He knows, okay, I'm not going to get a heal in this situation. The heal's going to go to the tank. I need a line of sight, blah, blah, blah. Muadack didn't even turn around a lot of times, bro. So
yeah, I think one of the biggest things that from what I've heard of the team is that his communication's pretty wonky. I don't know if he just plays with like one earbud in or like he plays with like nothing in. I don't know. But I think if he can somehow figure that out, whatever he's doing and making sure he's listening, and he doesn't even have to talk. That's one of the biggest things that I think kind of like makes a DPS player great is if they can also say what they're doing while still keeping up with that mechanical like skill that they have. Prosper's a very good example of that. He's a very loud player, but he's also very good. Like, you know what I mean? Like he can keep that high mechanical skill while also being able to speak and tell the team what's happening behind, like what he sees. And that's like really big.
To hop on that, I don't mean to cut you off, but since you mentioned the communication, that's why I consider it more like a lateral movement, because I do think that Muadack, in terms of mechanics, could be similar, could be comparable depending on the champion. He's good at the champs he plays. Let's do that.
Yes. Yes.
But Cop as a player is 1,000 times more talkative. If Cop is on your team, you will know what's happening to him. When he first came back, he had a few communication issues. That's been long worked out. And no player is perfect, right? There's going to be some points in the game where maybe you're under so much duress, you miss saying one thing. That's no one's immune to that. But he's 1,000 times more talkative.
Look at it this way, right? Muadack, right? This is Muadack. This is Cop. Mechanical skills, good on their champ pools.
Yes.
Communication. And
game knowledge.
Position.
Just game sense. Yeah.
And he can think like the other roles.
Yeah.
At that level of play.
He has a wider skill set. That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Muadack's a good player, and he can grow to be a better Has the potential. But you can't say he's a better damage than Cop right now, bro.
All right, we'll hold on off on that. We'll see in like these next few weeks. We'll hold off on it. Let's see how he improves. Then I'll come back with my statement.
Listen, if he just turns around on a flank,
we'll turn around on my statement. Got it.
I'll say he's 10 times better. Hatsuchibi's over here buying Def Hands Vivian.
All right. I mean, that aside, then let's get into it. We just covered all the matches. So who's your standout player for the week then?
I want to talk about Big Money quick. They do not have a Makoa on Big Money.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I said earlier they don't have a Makoa. Low-key scheming. Business is a really good Makoa. I don't think he's like up there with the best Makoas on console yet.
Right.
But he played Makoa on Bright Marsh really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he had really good games, and I don't want to take that away from him. Muadack had good games. Whoever else played on the team had good games, but there's two people that stood out to me, and that's Izzy Mitchell and Hatsuchibi. Hatsuchibi on the Damba, he was pretty much looking like Jeff the Raccoon, his little son running around out there. Okay. And also Izzy Mitchell, dude, I was casting that game and I probably the wall like 16 times, my dude. Izzy's wall placement and cooldown management was so good on that Bright Marsh game, bro.
Did you summon Hatsu? I forgot I was in a party by myself and I didn't even realize. And I look over and Hatsu's just sitting in the party talking.
So, anyways, while you have an e-date with Hatsu,
that's creepy.
We're gonna let that talk. We're just gonna let that sit there.
Izzy Mitchell played really well with Bright Marsh, especially with his. Yeah. Oh, and there's been reports that Big Money hasn't been scrimming because of Kev Falcon and like IRL emergencies or something. And I've been told it was with his family, so I want to say thoughts and prayers out to Kev Falcon. I hope it's good with him and his family.
Absolutely, I stand there with you. I had a small conversation with him recently through Twitter DMs, and granted, that's personal matters, so he didn't really say any of that explicitly to me or anything like that.
But it just sucks with that team because it happened to him and now it's happening. And it's just it's unfortunate. It's taking away from them being able to that everything better with Roman's grandma and whoever and whatever is happening with Kev.
It's just really unfortunate. But I just wanted to say, like, my interactions with him, Kev is genuinely one of the nicest people that I've spoken to in the scene.
Right.
And
dude, Rodeo Burger, bro. He's been here since the very beginning.
Yeah.
The day it dropped on console, he was there, man.
So I'm just right there with you. I hope everything clears up for him as quickly as possible.
Right.
Swarms, what about you? You have any players that stand out?
For me, I mean, I think I guess like the biggest standout for me was just Ps4 NA. Anyways, against me, it was GoodLad. Like Blue said, just give him give him the traditional damage roll. I mean, he
played Victor every game they won.
Yeah, he just played Victor so well. He went from being the main tank for FlashPoint for a few weeks, and then he swapped back to this DPS role that he used to play, and he killed it. And honestly, I think he did a really good job at helping Heating Up play the game, and I think that if they do continue playing with him, that they're still going to be a very good team, and can't wait to see what more he has to bring.
Dude, did you know? Quick story, quick little history. I don't know if you two know this. Most of the viewers probably won't. Did you know GoodLad would not be in the scene on Paladins if it weren't for Swiper dropping Prosper?
Didn't know that.
That's actually interesting. I had no idea.
After Valencia, Swiper brought Prosper over from Overwatch.
Okay.
And he was playing tanks. They played against Gooch Mob's team back in the day, Invigorate, the 3.0 Invigorate, or the 2.0 version. And they got smacked in what was then the PCL, the Paladins Community League. And it was started by Chris House. Shout out to him. Right. Only lasted a little bit. And they played, it was cross EU and NA. So Swiper's team was going up against Gooch Mob's Invigorate. And it was best 2 out of 3. And I think it went 3 games. Invigorate won. So Swiper at the time dropped Prosper. It was like his third day on the game. He was playing tanks. Yeah, he was playing tanks, right? Prosper was playing tanks. So then Swiper dropped him. He thought he was a big potato. Okay, and his friends lied to him that this Overwatch god was. So he dropped him. So what Prosper did was he went to go make his own team with GoodLad, who he brought from Overwatch, right? And then apparently the hashtag fuck Maglish comes from this. Prosper and GoodLad somehow convinced Maglish to throw games for them so that they could like get the #1 spot. And then Swiper found out, so he dropped Maglish and someone else, and he picked up Prosper and GoodLad and put Prosper on DPS. Then they made HRX in January. So if it wasn't for Swiper thinking originally Prosper was a big potato, GoodLad would not be in the scene.
That's insane.
I guess everything works out.
This is straight from Swiper. So if he didn't drop Prosper, GoodLad would not be here today. So most likely, probably. So that's a little history lesson.
Fun little tidbit.
My player of the week, I had 2. I got an Xbox One and a PS4 one.
All right.
So
You get 2. I want to say another one then, but you can go.
Go ahead. Go. Say yours.
Well, I was going to say
it.
Sheik. I think he did amazing against that side. Although they lost, I think he did like prove himself to be a really good DPS player, and I think he just did amazing throughout the entire sets. No matter, even if like he didn't lose faith, he kept playing as hard as he could, and he kept trying to like backpack a Radiant to win. So there's mine.
So player of the week for Xbox is the
Your mic definitely cut out.
Yeah, your mic cut out. Your mic definitely cut out.
Yo,
you said that.
That's not me, by the way. That's Discord.
Okay.
It does that in AOC meetings, not mine, but like them, and they have to like disconnect and come back and disconnect and come back.
Oh, jeez.
Because we're there for 4 hours, dude. Gets annoying. So Elevate is player of the week for Xbox because all 0 still somehow won 3-0. I'm just kidding. It's Whitey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely Whitey from Xbox. For PS4, I knew one of you guys was gonna say. So I had to go with the old. I'm gonna give half to Hatsuchibi and half to Izzy Mitchell.
I like that. All right, he's splitting it up as a cheeky way to get multiple people in there. I like it.
I do like the players of the week from the PCLC.
Yeah,
they did really well. Welshmania, of course, did really well. He played Victor most of the time too.
Storm did amazing on the healers.
Storm went 3-1-52 in 3 games, dude.
I must say, all right, Leo, what's yours, man?
Honestly, no one I haven't already elaborated on, right? Because I touched on Sheik before, and the only other person that I had in mind was Whitey. I think if I had to choose between the two,
you can give Stiles. You could take Stiles. I had him on my list.
I mean, all right. So the only reason I hadn't considered that is because I wanted to also use Whitey as that example for demonstrating the calculated aggression. Stiles is definitely deserving of that shout out as well, though, because like we already touched on like the 5-man immortal, which is about what was it? I think you said it on stream too. It's like most of the time you'll see people use like the immortal and they'll maybe catch 2 people and that's about it. And usually then somebody will still die. So I mean, he obviously. We established Fernando's his champion, and he definitely demonstrated that. I think the gameplay on Anar was also really good as well. But if I had to pick anybody, I would have to also give it to Whitey because, like I said, that calculated aggression, knowing that fine line between where you're being too rash and you'll just die for free, versus knowing exactly where you can be to set your team up to kills or to capitalize on your own. He just seems to know. He knows when he can shoulder bash into people to knock them off of a map. He knows where to be to knock them off with the freaking knock. He's just so good. I don't know. I could talk about it for a long time, but I'm not gonna.
Did you see that play on Frog Hour where just hit rock?
Where
he just stood there. He just stood there for like a minute because he was waiting for Yui to heal combat so he could go on the ramp and then bait the dude back. Yui just comes around the corner running away, and Ash just goes boop and knocks him off the map. And I'm just like, yo, my boy just fell for this. What?
Just the bait. Not much to say.
I feel like I
missed think
it,
he did amazing as well. I wanted to say Whitey as well, but I mean, I just think that
we can all say Whitey.
Yeah, I mean, I think the dominant playstyle from Sheik was just so much that like
people who don't watch Paladins are gonna think this is a bad podcast right here. Whitey.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think from somebody coming from a losing side, doing what he did, and still trying to keep and do as well as he could throughout the entire sets, I think that shows like a great deal of just strength in a player as well. Even though you're losing, man, you're not going to let your morale down, and even if it is down, you're still going to try to perform as best as you can, and that's really what shows this great player. So I think he did
all the way back to last year. He was losing on virus.
So I mean, that's really good improvement. He's definitely demonstrated that he's grown a significant amount.
Whitey's in top 10 for most improved.
I mean, if he keeps playing this way, we can make the case that he's definitely top 3 in that regard. I feel like. I don't know. We'll see how the season unfolds. I can't say anything against that either because
number 2 is Sir Benji.
Like night and day.
Benji.
Between last split and this one, Ghost is night and day, dude.
We love Benji.
But we hit the standout players. I actually don't have any for this, but any underperformers? I didn't single anyone out this time around. I didn't feel the need to. I mean, if we really want to do underperformance, I really have to give it to Retaliation. No.
No, it's actually Island Shots' X.
Oh, jeez, dude. Don't even... Just get a new Xbox. They can't actually... I guess in all fairness, they can't be underperformers if they didn't show up to perform, you know? So
yeah. Riser. Okay, so...
that's my underperformer, bro. 1-1-0 in a 15-minute game with Ira. What? You can't even get an assist? Just mark someone.
I don't know.
At the very least, you don't even need to shoot your gun.
It's rough.
Oh my god, bro.
Definitely rough. I know that they had complaints during that set about like communication, and the Riser was like dead silent. So
I understand that.
Yeah.
Just throw a fire, man. Somebody has a fire. That's an easy clap.
I can't even argue against either of you because it's not like it would be hard for Tyra to get an Elan. You have the mark, you have the fire. It's
just really hard to play.
It's not like he's playing Maeve, bro.
Yeah, I mean. It's kind of like the whole like Koga and Tyra, right? Tyra's a really big, or Koga's a really good like into Tyra. So it's really hard to play Tyra into it. So when you got Prosper Logic on the Koga, just running at you, man, just dashing between, you know, it's hard to play, but at the same time, you just gotta fucking play the game, and you gotta do something, especially with that Tyra pick. You know, like Ghost didn't go 1-1-0 on Ascension Peak when he was going against a Koga. I mean, it's the same thing. They're good Koga players. They're good Tyra players. They just gotta fulfill what they need their team to do.
Did you just compare Ghost
to COD Riser? Yes, sir.
Did you compare Riser to TKO?
He was showing the difference between what a Tyra player should be doing and a Tyra player isn't doing against their counter.
TKO.
Yeah,
it's for contrast, my guy. It's contrast.
I wasn't saying Riser's on the same level as TKO, especially now. Ghost is just insane. It's just same kind of like thing. You got 2 Tyra players. You're going against 2 Kogas. You see which one's doing actually something versus somebody that's going 1-1-0.
Bro, listen. You can pick Tyra, give her to me in the PCL. I'll turn my controller upside down, my eyes, and run around just hitting the mark, and I'll get this.
Yeah.
Then 0.
Yeah. True.
I got 15 minutes to get 1 assist and win the bet.
Blues burn, dude.
True.
We're gonna from this point onward, we're always gonna have a segment in the podcast. It's just gonna be Blues burn, and he's just gonna go after whoever the hell he wants. I don't even care.
Listen, at this point in my career, I and people get mad because I'm juicing false people. So then I say something that's like burn.
You're being too harsh, man.
Oh yeah, I'm being too harsh.
Calm down, Blue.
Oh, you're being too nice because you're.
Okay, nobody's ever going to be happy with everything.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Can't please everyone, so you just skip it. F it.
Look. When I like burn people, I'm not trying to be a dick, but
right. You're trying to like let them understand what they're
tough.
I can understand when I did
those
what I things, those twitlongers. I can understand those were okay.
Yeah.
So I won't go to that level anymore. But dude, 15 minutes, you went 1-1 and.
There's something obviously there that's not your team or communication. It's something you're doing. That's just not working.
Bro, just hit the mark button.
Yeah.
That's not being me. That's not me being mean.
I know. You're trying to just tell them to click the one button, the fat L1 button, the mark button.
But like since we're talking about player performances and stuff like this, I think this is a good segue into the topic of coaches and subs, right? Because it feels like there aren't enough teams that have what I like to call active subs, and there definitely aren't enough teams with coaches. So I wanted to get into this topic. off the top of our head, like what teams have coaches? I was coaching Ehrenmanner. Swarms is coaching Onslaught. Who else has Elevate has Ludex, and I think FlashPoint uses Op as a sub and coach capacity.
Op is a sub coach. Yes.
All right.
Op's like the manager, bro.
Yeah, he's like the manager sub coach. He's just got the titles. He's got the rings, man.
He's got the accolades, man. Can I say?
Yeah. I'm taking a resident sleeper on talk because I made a video 4 months ago and someone and people
We'll just link it.
Listen, people for some reason do not understand the concept of that video.
Yeah.
Because it still is relevant.
Yeah. I think we can talk more about the coach thing just from that. Just because subs, like Blu said, I mean, he's already talked about it in a very good detail. We talk about every week, talk about the importance of subs. If people don't get it by now, they don't get it, and they're never going to get it, and they don't want to get it. So just let me.
I wrote a nice little. I want to call it a paragraph, but it's not really a paragraph.
All right.
Okay, so I wrote it for this because I saw this in the notes you sent.
All right.
So, and here's what it is. Okay, when a team needs a sub, no one wants to be the sub, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we can all agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. When a team makes a LAN and needs a sixth, everybody wants to be a sub.
Right.
You're not wrong.
Okay? Everyone and their brother wants. So subs don't get to play much. Subs are the ones who want to be on a team. Sometimes the subs are the ones who want to be on a team but cannot fully commit to the full time, right? Those are like the subs that accept being a sub. So I've been preaching to people to watch the video on subs from my personal YouTube for over 4 months now. Subs are very much needed this season. Retaliation didn't play 2 weeks because no sub was on the roster for that week. Stiles had to step in because Arial didn't wake up in time to play. Viral had to use a sub when a player forgot about North American time changes in early April. SJP had to sub for Tommy Jet during Summer LAN for travel problems. Someone has to sub for GoodLad because he can't play at LAN. 2 of the biggest sub success stories are Yui and Legacy. Yui was the 2018 PCL sub of the year. Now he's a starter on a top 8 team. The Legacy wasn't expecting to play at Spring Masters, but forced to when Swiper had visa issues.
Yep.
Look at the PPL. Shadow is now main roster for Renegades after Lowkey is having travel problems once again. Dethroner went from sub on Envy to starter on SK to starter on the Pittsburgh Knights. Cool Matt was benched during HRX for Hill Time. Looking back, nobody thinks that was the best idea. Cool Matt didn't quit, and he didn't blame anyone. Yes, he got a free LAN, but at the same time, he understands the team thought process at the time, and it didn't work. That's how life works. Subs are needed, and subs should be a position that if you are asked to play as a sub, you should take that position. Okay, and I need to go back real quick. Cool Matt did not get a free LAN. He actually played the entire season as a starter. So that was I said that wrong.
It is misphrased. That's people understand the sentiment, though,
but subs are so important.
Yeah.
Vex during HRX, Yui got PCL sub of the year because he played 8 freaking games, man.
Right.
That was that's 4 weeks back then because it was best 2 out of 3s, right?
Yeah.
Or best of 3s. And that was a lot of games. That's half the games pretty much. Almost. They played a little bit more than 16. Or no, they played like 16 games. Yeah, so he played half the games. So they were preparing in case there was visa issues or something happened, right? If you go back to HRX in January, which Swiper's Ghost 5 team at the time, right? They had GoodLad, they had Prosper, they had Storm, they had Swiper, and they had their 5th as
Actually, I have no idea.
Oh no, what's his name, dude? Kimbo Mystic. Right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
it was.
I've talked to Swiper about this a bunch of times. I was like, why Op was there with them. And Op was standing behind them during draft and he was coaching us. I was like, why didn't you just have Op play tank instead of a Kimbo? Like, to me, that would have been the better option. Guess what? Op wasn't allowed to play.
Why was that?
They wouldn't allow him to play because the 6-man roster they had a Kimbo Mystic as the sub because Maglish was supposed to play. And guess what? Maglish decided, guys, I don't feel really good. I don't want to go. So he didn't go. And because they already submitted the roster and it didn't have op on it, those players, Swiper and them, they paid out of their own pockets to get op to go.
Mm.
They paid for his flight and he just like stayed in their room with them, right?
Mm.
Or they might have bought him a room. I don't know the details behind that. But the importance of subs.
I don't think
Swiper
that it
couldn't-
can be overstated, to be honest, but I feel like it's really just mentality. Because when people hear sub, a lot of the time, like you could tell these success stories all the time. People
Look at Cyclone earlier this season. Oh, we're getting DDoS. The Natics had to step in. And then same thing. Oh, we're getting DDoSed. It was big money this time.
But
they subbed in Roman. Then Roman had to leave because of family things. So then I subbed in Most Salty, and then it just got all discombobulated.
My thing with that is, even if you use those examples, right, people can kind of like write them off as, all right, well that's a DDoS, and well these are special circumstances. But I think if you attack the core fundamental belief of what a sub is and what they do, that can change the mind of everybody else, because they see sub and they see no play time, or they see as Swarmso put it, reject. And it's not the case. When you're a sub, sure, you join this team, and maybe you don't come in with the expectation to play, right? And I think that's a fault of teams right now. I don't think that everybody understands how to utilize a sub to the fullest effect.
No, dude, I want people to utilize subs the same way Over League does, man, because that is what is going to make our leagues like so. Like, you're going to have to use your brain, bro.
Yeah, well,
on this map, we're going to use this guy in our lineup.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, with this team comp we're trying to run, we're going to run this guy. With this team comp, we're going to run that guy. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we're going against this team? Well, this guy runs that team by himself pretty much.
And that's the benefit, right? Is that they can sub somebody in, and that changes the strategic dynamic, right? You can literally change your entire draft. And even if you have two players that have very similar champ pools, and one's a sub and one is the main roster, then when you go to certain maps, you could swap them out because maybe their play styles are different. And then when you're against certain teams, like, I don't know, for instance, FlashPoint had a 6-man roster, and they decided, you know what, GoodLad plays instead of Skeppy. Like, if GoodLad was still playing, they could run GoodLad against, I don't know, Arial or Rise. Maybe they felt like he's a better fit against that, you know what I mean? And then they could run Skeppy against other teams because they feel like he's a better fit into the other teams. And that's the only distinction that I'm trying to make, is people don't have this idea of how to, first of all, field subs proactively, and then because of that, everybody has this negative opinion of subs. They don't want to sit on a bench. But at the same time, you're going to learn more sitting on the bench with other people, working your team dynamic, getting game sense, because you will still have opportunity to play in scrims, even if you don't play PCL matches. Soak in knowledge. Hang out with those teammates. Learn something about the game. Take that knowledge, go elsewhere. Like you were saying before, people were subs and then they moved to starting positions. People need to be willing to take that step. Sub is not this, you're not being exiled to the Shadow Realm. This ain't a children's card game, I hate to break it to you. You're getting knowledge, and you get to take that with you moving forward.
Yo, check this out, right? Last season in the PCL, Team Cryptic, I think against some, I think it was Onslaught at the time. Might have been. They're like week 3 or week 4 set had to be postponed, and they both had to play double headers the next week. You know why? Because a hurricane forced players to have to move out of their house for like a week. Yeah, one of those was Dovahkiin, I think, or I'm Calamity.
Think so.
Yeah, so he had to like move out of his house for a week, and then they were able to come back when it was all like done and cleaned up or whatever. So imagine not having a sub. I mean, the admins advocated for the matches to be postponed because multiple people had problems or whatever. That's a natural disaster. I get that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, someone's power goes out right before games.
Yep.
Sub hotline. Oh, yeah, you're available? Get in the game. And then you guys are like, oh, well, we played with a sub. That's why we lost.
I mean, it's a classic excuse, but you can't have that excuse if you don't have a sub. So, and I think the same thing can be said also for coaches, just to touch on it lightly, because I don't think a lot of teams understand the value of it. Also, I don't feel like there are enough people in the scene that I guess want to take that position. I'm not quite sure. It is technically a volunteer position for console paladins, at least, and I think also PML to some extent.
For coaching?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not going to find a lot of people who are going to pay you to coach on console. That's just not going to be the case. Maybe the top tier teams who are under an org, maybe. I don't know. That's speculation. I couldn't say for sure. But coaches are important. Coaches provide a multitude of things. They help you approach the game strategically. They can help you review the VODs with a critical eye and bring different perspectives to it. And then also, if somebody messes up, the coach can point it out so you don't have any infighting between the team. Somebody could just be grumpy at the coach for like a few hours and just be like, oh, he said I played this Victor like shit. Well, maybe you did, and now that he told you that, you can actually see that you played the Victor like shit, and maybe now you'll know not to play the Victor like shit. And that's the beauty, right? The coach helps you break down how you played it like shit. Maybe you positioned poorly so you couldn't maximize your DPS. Maybe every time you barrage, there was like a shield up that somebody was walking backwards, so you didn't do any goddamn damage to the enemy team. Like, but that's the point, is that it's a guiding presence. No, that's what I'm saying. When you move backwards with the shield up, the barrage. Okay. That's what I mean. So it's like, pointing out those different things. And it can be anything as big as the misuse of abilities or mismanagement of cooldowns, or something as small as positioning, like changing where you are on the map. And just having a coach to facilitate that information it makes a world of difference. That's why every top team right now has a coach. With I think maybe the exception of Heating Up. No? Cyclone?
FlashPoint doesn't have a coach.
I thought Op does like the coaching or facilitates that role.
Here's the thing with FlashPoint.
Okay.
Op, you can technically say, is their sub/coach.
Okay.
Last season they brought Swarmso into coach, right?
Yes, sir.
And Swarmso, you can probably agree with me or you can disagree with me, but I'm gonna say this: you kind of bombed at HRX.
I agree.
And the team, I guess, like really depended on you in the draft and stuff. And it's not totally your fault. It was your first LAN, man. And so you kind of like, choked up.
Yeah.
And because of that, the team depended on you so much. And because you were choked up, I feel like FlashPoint, like, just is like, they're kind of nervous to get another coach again, because that could potentially happen again at a LAN that is more important, because the prize money is going to be less for them if they don't beat PC teams.
Right. I think the biggest issue with taking on a coach, right, is that like
Cyclone is looking for a coach.
Yeah,
yes, that's right.
One of the biggest issues with like taking in a coach, right, is that the coach has to learn a lot of different things about the team before they can even like start even thinking about the game, right?
Yeah.
You have to how do they process the information you give them, right? Like Legacy processed information 10 times differently than Prosper did. And Prosper processed information different than how my team currently processes information.
Yeah, I just want you to know.
You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah. I'm not trying to be a dick.
No. Yeah, I got
that stuff, right? I'm just trying to be like,
And I think I can agree. I think that they're kind of scared to pick in a coach because what if it doesn't go the same way as well? And then they go home with $10 in their fucking pocket and a lollipop. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like they won't get anything out of it.
I think if you lose first round, you get $1,000. Bro.
Yeah. So
per player.
Yeah. So you're still getting money. It's just you have a chance to get even more money, but then also a chance to get less.
I think the main thing with them is that like, I think some of them, like one or two of them, want to coach, but the rest feel it's not needed. The problem is that coaches are very important now. Right. And in the past, like 2017, early 2018, they were very rare and they were special because not many had the credentials to be considered a decent person for the position.
Right.
Right. The game was still early in its competitive nature. However, now that we are so far into the scene, there's a lot of people that have played and professionally, and they've learned the game, and they fine-tuned exactly how to play the game properly, and how it should be played at its highest levels, right? So console teams going into this LAN, cross-play only at the moment, I think should, and hopefully are, looking for like hybrid coaches that can coach, but with PC experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, having someone from PC even within the same from the PPL or the PML or past experience in the PGS or the old PPL, then that would be beneficial. I mean, I am gonna come straight out and say this. I personally DM'd some members on Cyclone. I said, "Hey, I saw your tweet. You're looking for a coach. I think these 3 people would be a really good fit as a coach. Maybe not for your team, but that's for you to decide." You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when an org comes to me and say, "Hey, we're thinking about picking up a console team." I'm like, "All right, well, here's all the teams. What would you like to know?" And then they narrow down their search to like 5 teams or 4 teams or 3 teams or whatever. And they ask me about those teams. And I give them the pure analytic thoughts process of what goes on inside my head about those teams, right? I don't tell them, "Oh, pick this one." So that's kind of what I do when people coach. I say, "Look, it's Beanie. It would be he is a good fit for I don't know how I want to word this. I don't say he'd be a good fit for your team because again, that's not my decision." So I'm saying like he would be a good person to be, right? He's
a strong candidate. Yeah,
strong candidate. He would be considerable.
Yeah.
Right. So would Kyle. Right. And then I threw out another name I can't really think off the top of my head right now. And then there's like some people are like, "Oh, well, Kyle hasn't played Paladin 2 months. I don't think." Okay, so that doesn't mean anything. I mean, he was in consideration from what I know for Kresnik for the Space Station gaming coaching position, but Kresnik got it over him. So, I mean, if that's true, then obviously he was interested in coaching. Maybe he won't be interested in coaching a console team, but you'll never know if you don't ask, right?
Right.
That's a fair enough point, yeah.
Like I talked to Z1 today in the stream and said, "Yo, bro, there's console teams, top console teams looking for coach. So like, I know you're a full-time streamer and you want to focus on that, but I know Z1 being Z1. If you got that itch, to be in the pro scene again, but you don't quite want to be a player again, this could be something to fill that void. But you'll never know if you don't ask people. So I think the PC hybrid is going to be very beneficial towards console because the console teams can teach that person about console if they're a little bit unaware of it. But those PC people can also be like, "Well, I know these guys really well because I play. This is what they're going to do." So I think it'd be a little beneficial for both parties.
That's fair enough. And on the topic of the MSI LAN, by the way, since we're considering coaches with the PC experience, and this is all going to hybridize, there's been a lot of backlash on that, obviously, to nobody's surprise. A lot of the people on the top tier teams, most notably upset that they don't have their own console LAN, and also as a part of that, the prize pool, since the money's going to be less for people down the bracket. And there's a lot more to fight through to get towards the top of the bracket. And even when you do, you're going to be facing PPL teams at the end of the day. So whoever from the PML and PCL that duke it out, whoever emerges out of that, still have to run through the first and second seed of the PPL itself. So not looking really good, not looking like deep runs, if any runs at all. How do we feel about this? Especially since I want to highlight this because Rainday did comment on the situation for PCL Week 8 broadcast, saying that
all of them did. Pretty did too. He said the Nick Merckx thing.
But you know what it is? I'm always multitasking. So I caught the Rainday comment. I probably missed the Pretty Hair comment. But I know that they were essentially in agreement on the fact that this ups the ante, right? This ups the overall competition. This forces people to come up. Otherwise, they just don't. As opposed to having these two separate parties. So they feel like it's healthier for the ecosystem overall because it raises that competition. So are we in agreement with this? How do we feel about that? How do we feel about the prize pool?
I think really like the prize pool really isn't like, I mean, of course for like a lot of people it is like a big thing, like especially because you're getting rid of like another console thing. Like it still affects console because like we won't have this summer LAN or whatever LAN that's coming up that we consider it, whatever we want to call it. This upcoming LAN will not be console wars. It will be this MSI like invitational summer thing. And the issue with it, right, is that Rainday said like he said something about like how it's going to be overall better for the team, like games and stuff. The issue is that you're letting this up, and then you're using the argument that like some players can use keyboard and mouse if they want to, or they can do this But the issue right now is that Sony, for PS4 teams especially, Sony doesn't allow crossplay. So Xbox teams might have a bit better chance in this place, right? Because I'm not saying like at all, like, but it comes from Elevate too. You're able to scrim these PC teams, get some experience with like the PC meta, PC, like how to counter and stuff. And I mean, you can disagree to, but like, it's one of those things where PlayStation players can't really go against PC teams. They can't really use a keyboard and mouse without a Zim. Xbox, you can plug in a keyboard and mouse, I guess, if you really want to, and you can play PC against PC players and learn about it. But overall, I just don't think it's healthy for the game in general, because console honestly has a significant disadvantage, no matter how you put it. It's just unfortunate. And even with aim assist, it doesn't really counteract the precision you can get on a mouse that you just can't do on a console controller.
All right, Blue, what do you feel?
This is a very touchy subject.
Yeah, it's...
And I'll explain why. I talked, for those of you who weren't in the stream and they'll be watching this, I can explain it again. The problem I have about this subject is that I need to maintain it like kind of like a neutral balance, right? Because a majority of the players do not agree with this crossplay only, right? And I, at a point, do not either. At the same point, though, I do agree with Rain Day, and I do agree with the crossplay tournament, and I do agree with Skillshot, because if you don't know already, I'm to work for them, and I'm also like, I've built myself up to be a protector, if or whatever you want to call it, right? Like the guy who stands up for everyone, right? So if I go against the community, then they're gonna bring out the torches and pitchforks on me. If I go against Skillshot, then that could, like, kind of like damage the relationship I built with them and what I'm trying to push.
Right.
If I get into Skillshot, I would high res aggro, right? Where I'm a part of their team, but I'm still your guys' like guy, I'm like the inside man kind of, right? So that's like the balance I have to hold, and it's very difficult for me because I don't want either side saying, okay, well, F you because you're not agreeing with us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When it comes to the practicing, there's only one problem I have with it.
Okay.
And the problem is not that the PS4 players don't have crossplay with PC.
Right.
Because take a look at the top teams, man. Onslaught, Heating Up, and FlashPoint. Everyone on FlashPoint has an Xbox.
Yeah.
Everyone on Heating Up has an Xbox.
Right.
And majority of or Onslaught has an Xbox. Fiery's even got a Switch. He can play on all. Right? So, I mean, that's not the problem.
Right.
That I have. The problem that I have is that it's illegal. It's against the rules to use a mouse and keyboard in the regular season of the PCL, but yet you can use it at the LAN. Yeah. So you are playing. You essentially have to play on both. You have to practice,
right,
and then you have to play your regular season on control. And at that point, it's just a console player playing on PC. So you're basically just like smutty. You know what I mean? That's the problem I have with that portion. Now, when it comes to the crossplay tournament itself, I like it. I feel like it's primarily my fault, though, because Bonker and I, had that whole thing during HRX. And let me tell you, let me clear things up. This was not our intention. Our intention was for an exhibition match for charity, whether it was at LAN or online. Right? It was for charity, and it was to like hype up Paladin, both sides, both PC side and console side, right? That was the whole main like thing for that. It would be for charity, and it would just be like an exhibition set of like 10 matches or something, okay? Or like best of 9. I don't know. But so I kind of feel like it's a little bit my fault for that, right? At the same time, I like the crossplay tournament. Because of what Rain Day said, right? I don't agree with Pretty Hair's statement. totally
Wait,
different game.
can you repeat that?
Right.
It cut you up.
I don't agree with Pretty Hair's thing with Fortnite and Nick Merckx
Okay.
being compared to this, because that's a battle royale. It's totally different gameplay style wise, and it's a different game in general. It's third person as well, right?
Mm.
And they're playing on PCs even in and stuff with controllers.
Mm.
Okay. So their frame rates are different and stuff like that. But I would also like a console dedicated tournament at LAN as well as like a side thing, as it's always been pretty much for them, because everyone watching the PCL, we want to see who's the best console team amongst the others, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think now when it comes to what Rain Day said about this raising the competition, this is definitely good. It's going to raise competition, because if console players have to play PC teams, then they're going to learn from that. They're going to intake everything they can, whether they win or they lose, right? Whether it's PML or PPL that they win or lose again. And then in the regular season, again, or at HRX, or if there is another console wars, that's going to be exhaled out of these players into those sets. Yeah. They could learn something. Excuse me. These console players, they watch the PC pros, right? And they try to imitate stuff like that.
Right.
But when you're in the game against them, you're going to learn a lot more than watching PPL matches.
Yeah.
Right? So then they can take that and they can incorporate it into their strategies and their gameplay when they're facing. Now, when Sony allows crossplay with Xbox,
here's hoping.
Even if they allow it with PC, right? You can still plug in controllers and face each other on PC, right? I think that is when the league can administer a crossplay only tournament, because then the regular season would be all the teams in one league. So we could see, like right now, 3 divisions: Cyclone, FlashPoint, Elevate. They're just going undefeated, right? FlashPoint's dropped 1 map. Bustdown Cyclone has dropped 2 maps.
There needs to be some other.
Elevate hasn't dropped down any, right? So if you look at that and you put all them in one league, you put like 12 teams in one league, crossplay league, Xbox, PS4, you could play on either one. Doesn't matter. 12 teams in one league. Everyone's got to face each other, right? Or you could do 16 teams again, 8 NA, 8 EU, right? That's when we're going to see Cyclone versus in the regular season like 6 times, dude. Fighting for that first spot, fighting for first place in the league, fighting to go to LAN. And that's when we'll see multiple teams go to LAN. So, because if it's crossplay, more console teams can go to LAN. Did you think about that? Did you think about that?
No, honestly, I was too zoned in on the structure. The structure and the setup for this coming LAN still has 4. So it's like, to me, that didn't dawn on me.
Yeah. That's what everyone is doing. They're so focused on the now. But as I've said in the past, thousands of times on Twitter, in person, everything, I read and I watch and I intake everything that is put in front of me, and then I look further. I keep looking. There's never an end goal. Never in my mind. It always just keeps going. If we get Sony crossplay, the league grows. Better matches during the regular season. And then with crossplay tournaments, because you have Sony crossplay with Xbox, you can see those Dave and Goliath clashes during the regular season. Yeah. And then you can have crossplay only, because more teams can go to LAN. You can have 6 console teams go. You can have 4 console teams go to LAN again. Or you but it would be different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it also helps some people like these like PS4 exclusive players also integrate with these Xbox exclusive players, where like they're all on like T2 teams, right? But they're all like, they're good skilled players. It's just that like maybe there's not enough people on this one console and there's not enough people on the other one.
Think of it this way, right? Right now you have Onslaught and Heating Up fighting for first place.
Right.
Okay, imagine if you throw Cats on Mars and Elevate in the same division as them.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
more competitive,
Absolutely.
right?
Right.
This could have already been done, but
Better
Sony
viewing experience
yeah.
for regular season.
Mhm.
And that is a dogfight.
Right.
Even if 4
Definitely
teams go
worth
to LAN
watching.
still, you can have 2 Xbox teams go to LAN
Yeah.
without having to switch consoles.
Mm-hmm.
You could truly see, okay, right now we have, Bustdown is the second place team behind Cyclone, but they say they're better than Cats on Mars. Cats on Mars says they're better. Oh, guess what, man?
Nah, you got to prove it.
We
Right.
could find this out, right? So I think crossplay with PC is a good idea, but right now, since Sony's not crossplay, I think that we need some dedicated tournament. If Sony allows crossplay with Xbox, I think a crossplay only tournament could work out. We would just have to see. Right now, though, Cooper, Skillshot in general has agreed to meet with the players, so we'll see how that goes. And also, I think this is just like a test run.
Yeah, to see
That's
how
fair.
it'll work out. Yeah.
Valencia was a test run, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't
Valencia
here
was a
for that,
test
so
run.
I'll take your word for it.
The way Valencia worked, right? So in PCS, you play week 1, week 2, or week 3. Those are all open bracket. If you
All right.
qualify, you make week 4, and then week 4, whoever wins goes to LAN, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you qualify in week 1, you don't play week 2 and you don't play week 3. You just wait till
Yeah.
So
it's the old PCS model.
Yeah.
Okay.
So during console wars for DreamHack Valencia, the system was 5 weeks of play. You had to play all 5 weeks. If you came in first, you got 100. Then you get 70 or 60 points in second, 60 points in second place, and then like X amount of points for third, X amount of points for like 5th to 8th was X amount of points.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
9th to 15th or whatever. So I mean, 5 weeks of play. If you won 3 weeks in a row, you could have 300 points. And if there was a different second place every time, especially with the amount of teams back then,
Right.
you pretty much, hey, we're going to LAN, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
PCS was better than that, and now PCL is better than that. So if we get a nice crossplay, it could potentially make the league better. So I think it would increase the competitiveness amongst console players alone. But I think it's a test run. I agree with the crossplay. Since Sony is not crossplayed with Xbox, I would still like to see a console dedicated tournament as well as the crossplay.
I think honestly that I would elaborate on my own views, but more or less they're pretty much synonymous with your own, Blue, on that one. I'm not really against
upset about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think the aspect that's really the most upsetting is, first of all, it was announced that it would be a crossplay MSI event in place of the console LAN itself, right? So right now, as far as we know, there's no console LAN happening. That could change, and we'll see if it does after this meeting with Cooper and the players, right?
It's not until June 30th too. So
yeah. So I mean, there's time. But what really also depends is I don't know how long. Like I think about the behind the scenes.
July 3rd, people are coming home on July 4th.
I think about behind the scenes with how much time is necessary to set some events like this up. So I don't know if they totally didn't have it planned to have a console LAN. I don't know if they have the time to do it. I don't know how that works. So that's the only caveat that I have in mind. But I do like how it can increase competition via all the methods that you were saying. Basically, just coming into contact with PC teams, coming into contact with that meta, learning different strategies, being punished harder than you could be on console, which is something I had a conversation with Legacy about. All of that overall just ups everything. I'm in agreement with that, but I also understand the outrage from a lot of console teams with the absence of a console LAN and also the overall prize pool and the structure of the tournament, right? Because you have PML and PCL facing off, and only the top 2 from that portion of the bracket enter into the final portion of the bracket against Seed 1 and Seed 2 PPL, right? So their chances at making the money that they're used to making are understandably low. I'll hesitate to say more about it because I do intend to make a Leo's logic on this. I wanted to expand on further thoughts, like arguments that people have made about like, oh, it's not a salary and this and that and the third. So I'll save that for another time. But that out of the way, are there any other thoughts on MSI in general, or no, we're good?
I think for the most part, I think it's great to like up the ante a bit. Show the players that like I don't like the like deny, like I wish players did try to take this as a learning opportunity more so than this. It just does suck that the LAN is in place of another console LAN, as we far know.
Yeah.
But I do think this is a great experience for everybody to take into it. I know some people are maybe quitting or something. I think you should just take this as a learning experience, see what you guys can do, and show that like console players aren't just like the worst, and try like show up and try to do something with it.
That's fair enough.
I think we're good.
Blue, any additional thoughts on the matter? No?
Yeah, before I shamelessly Swarm, I'm gonna need you to look next to your microwave and wash those dishes. 1, 2.
Those are mine.
2, I'm gonna need you to ask your buddy if he's downloaded Paladins. Right in front.
He actually got me into Paladins. He is a alpha player.
Oh, so am I.
That's insane.
Yeah.
He stopped playing it though after Andro nerfs and stuff like that. So old Andro nerfs, like dash distance nerfs and stuff. When hypermobility died, that's when he died.
That's insane.
Yeah, I see him playing League this whole time.
Yeah.
But
my alma mater.
So anyways, yeah, all the stats and everything on the website. Doppler longer.
Wait, you got to run that back.
Yo,
to
you
cut
gotta
you.
run that all the way back.
Yeah.
It fully cut you out of everything you said.
Dude, Discord. Oh my god, the voice.
In all fairness, it hasn't cut off Swarmso once, so I don't know if it's Discord or not.
It's
but...
cut both of you off for me.
You might have a problem with Discord.
Nah, dog, it's not me, because all the AOCs say the same thing about Molly when she's talking.
Oh, okay. This is a weird Discord issue.
Yeah, so all the stats and everything on the website have been updated, all up to date, so you guys can check that out. I'm working on uploading all the match results from every single week, from every single set. I think we're almost finished with all of the PlayStation EU and NA matches up until the current point in the season. And then we'll start working on the Xbox. That just takes some time. That's a lot of information going into there. But Slopadopoulos no longer leads the kills.
Oh.
He's actually in 3rd place.
Ooh, 1 week. Drop down to 3rd.
I don't know who passed him, but...
Oh, no, he's in 2nd, I think. He's in 2nd by 6 kills. And the person in 1st played 2 more games and plays 1 game. I'm pretty sure he can pass him.
That's close.
SoldierBot's in 1st place now, though.
Oh,
insane.
So it's always
long set. That's why he had a lot of time.
It's always interesting to see, like, league leaderboards and stuff like that. All the maps picks and bans have been up there as well. So you guys can check all that stuff out. Console Corner will be returning next week, hopefully. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And don't forget to catch the unstreamed matches. What is it? The same night, Monday night?
Yeah. So Monday at 11 a.m. Mixer goes live at mixer.com/Paladin. 4 sets. And then, by the way, Rain Day even shouted it on the Mixer stream. So twitch.tv/console pro news. We show all the non-broadcasted games that were played that week as well. So match of the week was Ehrenmanner versus Stush Gaming, but that has changed actually. Yeah, I kind of like skipped ahead in the schedule on accident. Match of the week is a non-broadcasted game, so be on the Console Pro News Twitch that night.
All right.
Monday night Eastern time around like 6 p.m. It's Elevate versus Cats on Mars.
Ooh, that is going to be a good set. I hope Cats on Mars can show something. Maybe take a map. Maybe.
Well, technically, Elevate's 15-0 for matches.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So.
But overall, they're 21-0.
Storms, do you have anything that you want to plug in?
Follow my Twitter down below. I think it's @Swarmso. I post corny inspirational quotes every once in a while, and I complain about ranked a lot. So just follow that. And I mean, besides that, I mean, I don't stream or anything anymore. So.
All right. So it sounds like we're all good here. So until next week.